Valessa and I are doing a massive giveaway in today's video, so be sure to stay tuned for details.
Oh my God.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. Wait, hold on. Oh, we're so back. We are so back, my friends. Holy shit. The time has finally come. It is time for the Gorlworld 2025 history lesson. You don't want to know what time it is right now. You do not want to know how many all-nighters I have pulled to get this finished by the time that I wanted to get this finished. But we are here. I have another energy drink. Don't worry, these are not a regular occurrence for me. My heart is fine. Have I been planning and postponing this for a very long time? Yes. Am I just a single girl who is a one-woman show who also works a 9-to-5? Also, yes. But I do want to say thank you so much for your patience on this. It initially kept getting pushed back like further and further last year because I was originally just going to do it as like a catch-up kind of video. But then stuff just kept happening. And so then I was just going to wait until stuff stopped happening, and then stuff did not stop happening. And even when it stopped happening, I was in the middle of a chronic illness flare-up. So I was not doing anything of this magnitude at that point. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you here very long because we're going to be here for a really long time. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So right off rip, I'm just going to get our main Gorl up here. It's not straight, but neither is she and neither am I, so it's fine. Anyway, so I wanted to go back and see where I left off with my last Gorlworld catch-up video, and it was around February 5th of 2025, okay? So we have a lot of catching up to do. And the last video that I did on Amberlynn was when her and her ex-ish, Tommy, had broken up. And I wasn't really sure what the best way to go about this was because there was so much ground to cover. So I decided to go with doing it month by month, kind of, and we'll get there. That just seemed most logical, and in my brain, that gave me a way to kind of organize things, and so yeah, that's what I did. But before we really get into it, I do just want to say that, as we all probably know by now, Amberlynn's channel was demonetized in November of last year because YouTube really started cracking down on their TOS. And so with that, all of her content, including all of her lives, she privated all of it. And so finding all of those things was very difficult, but it was made a lot easier with the existence of commentary channels, reaction channels, archive channels. I just want to give a huge shout out to Apathetic Facts. She's the real one. Most of the clips in this video are going to be from. And then I also did use a lot of Salty Crab videos, but as of a few days ago, Salty Crab's whole channel has been taken down. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not going to show the clips from the videos that I had already downloaded from her because that just feels wrong. I don't know. So I'm just not going to do that, but I did use the ones that I already had downloaded to kind of like recap the lives, because a lot of what happened on Amberlynn's channel, we'll get to this, over the last year was on her live streams. Salty Crab had a lot of those archived, and so that's what I mainly used her channel for, but it just feels wrong to put those in here, and so yeah. Oh, also I'm also saying that because any edits that are done, like on the clips that I feature from lives and videos and stuff, not done by me, done by the channel that I got them from. So it's usually going to be done by Apathetic Facts. Anyway, okay, let's keep going. The overall theme for 2025 in Gorlworld was Amberlynn's exes all gathering like the Avengers to come and tell their stories solo or with each other about being with Amberlynn during the time that they were with Amberlynn. But that being said, that's gonna be what I primarily focus on in this video, because I also feel like that's kind of like the most important thing that happened in 2025. Don't worry, we will be talking about Aunt Tammy as well, so don't worry about that. But mainly we're just gonna be focusing on Amberlynn Reed's ex-partners. But some notable things that happened in 2025 that I just want to get out of the way here that I won't be expanding on when we get into the months where they happened, but I just feel like they deserve like an honorable mention, you know, are the various weight loss attempts that Amberlynn went on throughout the year, including Noom. goal was to follow a meal plan for 5 days out of 7, and I did not do that.
I am shocked. Shocked!
I wanted to have like a huge veggie plate every single day for lunch. And I did not succeed in all 5 days. So my goals for the next week are literally just to win over this like defeat that I feel inside of me. I also want to start drinking 3 water bottles a day instead of just 2. So I was doing pretty decent. I was staying below the 3,400 calories that Noom wants me to eat. Definitely eating in moderation. So I was allowing myself to have like the unhealthy things. There was one day where I overate and I chose like the most horrific foods that day. We are not perfect over here. Like if I woke up one day and I came on here and I was like, you guys, I've been perfect for a full year, it'd be bullshit because it's not possible. Potentially going on a GLP-1 again. I'm honestly not sure if this actually happened, but she did talk about it. So I'm actually interested in going on a GLP-1 again. Yes, I am. I'm going to be looking into it. I'm a bit nervous about the gallbladder stuff. And the first time I ever took Ozempic, that's the reason why I stopped it. But this time I want to get my labs done and I want them to check my gallbladder first. If they don't feel like that has to happen, then okay, good. Which risk is more severe? Which risk is more dire? Me staying this size and dying young? Or me having a gallbladder attack? GLP-1s are amazing for people like me. There is so many risks and risks and risks, but they're made because they outweigh the risks. How they're gonna help an individual outweighs the side effects that could happen. So let's talk about how my week went. So my cellulitis is actually improved, so I'm not as swollen. I was eating kind of like shit, but I was staying below my calories. And because of that, I did lose weight. But I will say that every single day I wanted to give up and I'm exhausted. So I want to switch things up. And if that is me taking another weight loss injection, then that's me taking another weight loss injection. Last week, I was 521.6, and this week, I was 514.2. So yes, I am down 7.4 pounds. And normally, I would feel proud. Anyone would feel proud. And Amberlyn Reed would be on here saying, wow, I'm so proud of myself. I will lose the 7 pounds, and then I will gain them right back. And I've reached a point where I'm like genuinely scared. I should be so proud that I lost those 7 pounds. I lose the weight, and then gain back more. I lose the weight, and then gain back more times 2. But before we get into the rest of today's video, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Bellesa. Now, Bellesa is a longtime friend of the channel, but if you do not know who or what Bellesa is, they are a by women company for all things sexual wellness. Bellesa's main mission is to empower everyone to explore, embrace, and celebrate their sexuality. And before I started working with Bellesa long ago on my channel, I was a customer and I have remained a customer, but this month they sent me over some things to try and I want to share those things with you. So the first thing that they sent me is the Thump, which is the one that I always include in these videos because I've had it for a while, and I think it's a great option for people who are new to these kinds of products, because to me it's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of vibrators. Okay. It does it all, meaning it vibrates, it has a suction function, and you guessed it, it also thumps. And like a lot of Bellesa's other toys, it is fully rechargeable, waterproof, and made of body-safe silicone. The new one that they sent me this month is the Luxe plug-in wand, which I don't have a video of, but I have this picture of me when I got it in the mail and I wasn't expecting to get it in the mail, and the size of the box really caught me off guard. I wanted to put that in here because I thought it was really funny, because the box that it shipped in was from a seller called like Containers Plus, which is another great thing about Bellesa. They have extremely discreet shipping, but the Luxe plug-in wand features deep rumbly vibrations with 5 modes depending on what your mood is that day, and it has plug-in power, which means no fading and no interruptions. And since it is a plug-in, it comes with all of the different adapters for the US, the UK, Europe, and Australia. So my friends and I at Bellesa are giving away free toys or free gift cards for toys using the giveaway link down below in my description. So be sure to, like I said, use the link down below to sign up for that giveaway and let me know what you get because I am nosy and I always want to know. Thank you so much to Bellesa for sponsoring today's video. And as always, thank you so much to you guys for continuing to interact with my content so that brands like Bellesa want to keep working with me. Okay, now let's get back into the video. Then, true to true form, she also blames her scale for her weigh-ins being wrong, which she actually says it was telling her that she weighed less than she actually did, so I will give her credit there, but she does get a new scale and she does need to talk about it, so that happens.
I genuinely don't even want to talk about this, but for transparency reasons, I feel like I have to because it's the right thing to do. As you guys know, I have been weighing myself, but also simultaneously, I have been feeling anxiety about my health, and I haven't been saying why. So with the weigh-ins, I've been like staying the same within the 10 weigh-ins that I did do during those last 10 weeks. In total, I was down like 7 pounds. But then simultaneously, I feel like my breathing isn't as good anymore. I feel super swollen every day. I feel more like it's hard for me to do daily activities. Over here, my scale is saying that I'm not gaining weight, but simultaneously, my body genuinely feels like it is. So when I went to the doctor, they did weigh me. It was completely different than what was on my scale here at home. That happens. I didn't think anything of it at the time. It was kind of shocking to see. I didn't mention this in my video because I think I was like lying to myself. I was telling myself that their scale's broken, but mine's not. But then 4 days ago, I stepped on the scale and it said I weighed 350. You know what? I'm gonna put a gallon of water on the scale. It kept saying it only weighed a pound. That's not how much a gallon of water weighs. So then I decided to change the batteries because I was like, okay, maybe it's just the batteries. Amberlynn, it's time to just like genuinely be honest with yourself. So long story short, I think that the doctor's scale was actually right. I don't know, I'm really upset. I ordered a new scale and it's gonna be here in a couple days and I'm not looking forward to it at all. Like, I should have listened to my body more because my body was telling me, Amberlynn, you're gaining weight, while I had a broken scale telling me, oh girl, no.
Amberlynn also had various health issues throughout 2025, including getting cellulitis from stepping in a puddle.
A few days ago, I mean, I'm telling you, it was storming really bad. It was flooding, there was flood warnings. I was out with my mom and I didn't realize when I got home that the flood was going to be near me. So to get into my apartment, which was literally the only way to get into my apartment, I had to step and walk in water that literally like went up to the middle of my calf. I was pissed about it. I have lymphedema and lipedema. My skin and my body is just really sensitive to things. So I was soaking wet. My pants were soaking wet. My legs were soaking wet. Came home, I showered. I sadly woke up the next day with cellulitis.
She also started experiencing some chest pain, so she wound up going to the ER. In that, she found out that she had an elevated D dimer, which basically means that you might have a blood clot somewhere in your body.
So I am going to the hospital because I'm having chest pain on my left side. So it started earlier, kind of like under my boob, like right here. And I was thinking nothing of it. It's like this sharp pain that I've never felt before. And now the pain is like in my boob. I just got done crying. I called my mom and she's like, yeah, you need to go to the ER because that's not something you can mess with. So the pain is now like radiating to like my nipple area. I'm really scared. They've taken my blood, EKG, blood pressure, and then I had a CT scan, which I was not expecting that. Oh yeah, an x-ray on my heart. Yeah, and they also gave me, Mom, what's the medicine called? Toradol? I just feel really just sad. Like, so my test results came back. They said that my lungs looked good, my heart looks good and everything. And then I get the paperwork. They didn't even mention this to me, which I don't know why. And it says that I have an elevated D dimer. And thankfully I noticed that before I actually left the hospital. So I asked the nurse, like, what does this mean? And she was like, oh, it just means like you could possibly have a blood clot. That's why we checked your lungs, but you don't have one. But then it's like I have other parts of my body. Like, I'm just really scared. I don't know, and this just like brings to light a lot of anxieties. It brings to light a lot of fears. It brings to light a lot of regrets. It brings to light a lot of things. I feel scared and I'm just like, what? Like, my doctor's appointment isn't for a whole month. And like, I was freaking out and I'm like, am I actually gonna fit in the CT scan? Like, I even vocalized that out loud. She was like, yes, of course you are. And it's just like an elevated D dimer. An elevated D dimer. And that's scary. It's crazy that like all of this is happening at once, where I was finally like, I want to have a better relationship with food. I want to be healthier. I want to do better. And then all of a sudden I'm just like hit with this and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
And so then because of that, she wound up going back to the ER for that blood clot fear. And then she went to Denny's afterwards.
I had to go to the ER. I've been having anxiety about my health. That made me want to go back on a GLP-1. I went to my primary care doctor, called. They couldn't get me an appointment for a month. And then all of a sudden I'm having chest pain on my left side that I've never ever felt before. I'm not like a chest pain girly pop. And at my size, the way that I treat my body, which is not good, that's obviously worrisome. I went to the ER. They did all these tests. I got my blood taken. I got a chest x-ray. I had a CT scan done of my lungs. I had an EKG. They come back telling me everything looked good. But then you get paperwork explaining your diagnosis is my D-dimer is elevated, but they didn't mention that to me. So the nurse told me, make an appointment with your primary care doctor. Like, I did not even sleep. I stayed up because I was at the ER all night last night. So right at 8 a.m. on the dot, I called and said, is there a slot that's been freed? They said, no, there's not, but you should probably go to urgent care. They were saying how I need an ultrasound on my legs. If I don't have the blood clot in my lung, then it's obviously somewhere else. And obviously when urgent care was like saying all these things, it was freaking me out because it was only justifying the fact that I was already freaking out. So when urgent care said, okay, you need to go to the ER, I don't know, is this an emergency or is it not? I don't want to waste anyone's time. So the lady who answered in the emergency department said, if I were you, I would come in, yes. And the fact that urgent care, also my doctor's office, the emergency room thinks I need to get this figured out now freaks me out. So now I have to go back to the ER, and then I signed into my little chart thing, and I don't need to give all the info on my stuff, but there was a few things that were off.
Alright, you guys, finally leaving the emergency room. I was here for like 10 hours. They did an ultrasound and they saw no blood clot. So we're staying outside of the Denny's.
In the list of various health ailments throughout the year, she does finally, and I cannot believe it took this long, finally blame her thyroid for her weight, saying that she got diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And this might have also turned out to be a lie. I think the people on the internet may have found out that she was lying about this, but quite frankly, I did not have the time to dig deep enough into that. But yeah, she said that she was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And so then she was like, oh my God, people with thyroid issues have weight issues too. So that's my issue. Last but not least in the health issues, she had another rotten tooth fall out of her mouth.
I'm chewing. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm chewing on bone. Like, I have chicken bone in my mouth. Like, ouch, ew. I take it out of my mouth and I'm like, this looks weird. And then I feel my tooth back here with my tongue. And I'm like, wait, that's actually my tooth that just broke.
Other random things that happened. She hypothetically, allegedly made up a story about her DoorDash driver stalking her.
The DoorDasher story, it's like irrelevant now. I DoorDashed ramen because I had no more. And the guy, like when he handed it to me, because I always go outside and I get my stuff. I don't want them to have to go through the lobby, figure it all out. He winked at me and I was like, oh my God. And I usually like can catch a vibe. I could tell when someone's like into me. He literally messaged me and he was like, it was so good to see you. You're so beautiful. And then like he asked if I was single and I was just like, what is happening? I mean, it definitely gave me a little pep in my step. I just didn't know that like DoorDash drivers could like literally hit on you in like the DMs on there. Like I'm literally shook about it. I was on live stream last Tuesday and people brought up the DoorDasher, how he was like flirting with me. Well, I'm just gonna let you know right now that I have never, since living here, and I've lived here for almost 2 years, I've never had the same DoorDasher. And now all of a sudden, here we are getting the same DoorDasher. I even mentioned it in my live stream. I was like, yes, I have an update on the DoorDasher. That's just a little sneak peek, a little tea. So he ended up being my DoorDasher again. And like I said, I've never had a repeat DoorDasher. Okay, so he handed me my food. This was Monday before my live stream. As I was walking back into my apartment, he yelled,
"Are you married?"
When I get uncomfortable, like I just automatically say yes. But like, I don't think that he understood me, or like he chose to not understand me, or maybe he didn't hear me. He then messaged me. So he was just messaging me again. And it's like, you know, the first time it was flattering.
My beautiful, nice to see you again. One question, are you married? Please don't leave me on scene. I would like to know why you are so beautiful, and I liked seeing you again.
You know, that's how people meet. You see someone in person and you go up to them or you compliment them. And that's how people met, like in the olden days before technology. So it's like, to me, the first time it wasn't creepy. Like, it was flattering. I could still be flattered as a lesbian by a man complimenting me. A compliment is a compliment, and it's like, it's always greatly appreciated. But then when it happened the second time, that's when I started realizing, like, okay, that's like a little much. But you guys won't even believe it. If you remember on Tuesday, when I got the poke bowl, it was him again. For the third time in a row. I've never had a repeat DoorDasher. It's just never happened. And I know this because I always go out and I receive my DoorDash like person to person. The fact that I had him for the third time in a row, and this is where, to me, the boundaries have been overcrossed. Like, the first time it was fine. Second time it was like, okay, maybe he really was trying to shoot his shot like super hardcore. So this time we didn't really say anything to each other. Like, I just grabbed my stuff and I like booked out. I was like, bye, you know, really quick. I didn't want to have like any correspondence at all. Like, the first time there was no correspondence. Second time he just asked if I was married. I said yes. This time I said nothing. And he ended up messaging me again. And I'm going to show that screenshot here.
Wow, it's you. Heart eye emoji's beautiful. When will you be able to thank me? Or tell me if you're single?
This time, the part where it's like, when are you gonna thank me? That's weird energy. I mean, to me, that felt like sexual. Like, when are you? I don't know. I could be like reading into it wrong, but the fact that it's happened 3 times is weird. I don't know if there's a way to like request not to have like a certain driver anymore. I don't know if he's doing this to other women or if I'm just the only one, but that's like also hard to believe that I would be the only one, because why me? The whole thing is like, if I message DoorDash and I tell them about this, I'm afraid he's gonna lose his job. I don't wanna be the person that makes someone lose an income. So I would hate to be the person, DoorDash gets a hold of this and then they're like, oh my God, we can't have this guy work here anymore, so he's not allowed. Like, that also scares me. What if DoorDash is like, this person said you were making her uncomfortable and you were harassing her, so now you can't work for us anymore. Wonder if he gets mad and comes and finds me. I'm almost afraid to order DoorDash, which could be a good thing because your girl doesn't need to have it as frequently as she does. What happens if I get him a 4th time and it happens again? And this is just like a repeat thing. Should I just ignore it? Like, I'm gonna finish getting ready. I'm going to glow in the dark bingo today and I'm super, super freaking excited. It's like my favorite day. Proof the DoorDasher story is real, you hog. I actually do have a way. I have a screenshot of the notifications coming in that I actually took on my phone, and you can see behind the notifications is Twinkie.
She got into tarot card readings and she did those a lot. And she did a lot of driving around with Mama Lynn, a lot of eating out at restaurants with Mama Lynn. A lot, and like I said before, a lot of what happened in 2025 in terms of drama, tea, whatever, I hesitate to call some of it that, but yeah, happened in live streams. And so there were some common threads throughout a lot of the live streams, or the majority of the live streams, that I'm just going to talk about here and then not mention again, so I'm not saying the same things over and over and over again. She constantly came after reaction channels, what's new, but specifically Salty Crab, which we will talk about that a little bit. And also, she really had it out for Zachary Michael this year. Oh, and she used her BPD any chance she got to excuse any like poor behavior on her part over and over and over again. Those are just 3 like common themes that we saw a lot in the live streams that I just didn't want to like keep mentioning over and over and over and over again. And yeah, so those are the honorable mentions that I just wanted to get out of the way. Now that we're going into the bulk of 2025, I just want to say that we're going to be going through November. We're going to be going up until Amberlynn gets demonetized in November. I know she is now a part of Keemstar's lolcow universe ever since her channel got demonetized, and that will be covered in a different video, but for now, all I have to say is yeah. Okay, let's pick up where we left off in February of 2025. So around the time I think that I made my last video on Amberlynn, an Instagram account called Despectful Moments discovered that Amberlynn had been following an Instagram account that posted a lot of PDF file related memes and content. Amberlynn obviously caught wind of this and she quickly took to her Instagram story to explain this, and she basically chalks it up to an accidental follow.
So I have been messaged that I was following an account that was posting very gross things, and I get a lot of really nasty messages. Sometimes when it's like so nasty, I will click someone's profile before deleting their message and blocking them to see, what are these people like? Like, do they have a family? Are they like a normal person? And this specific profile, I remember, actually sent me a really mean, nasty message. And I remember clicking their profile. I think I accidentally clicked follow because I didn't even have them blocked at that point or anything. It was just like an accident follow. Like, if you guys go see the people that I follow, you'll know, like, I don't follow accounts like that.
Even with this explanation, this brought up a lot of other allegations relating to this from the past. And these things that people started bringing up from her past again included very controversial, interesting opinions on PDF files. Also, how she often featured kids in her content and the ways in which she did so. And the one main example brought up when talking about the kids that were featured in her content was regarding Libby. And Libby was in Amberlynn's content around the Destiny era. Libby was a friend of Destiny's, and she was 15 at the time of being in Amberlynn's videos. And for context, Destiny and Amberlynn were 20 and 25 respectively at this time. First red flag was when Amberlynn was asked about their relationship, and she explained it like this.
By one particular person saying that Libby hanging out with us is like two straight guys hanging out with a 15-year-old. I'm like, what? Libby and Destiny have known each other for years and years and years and years. It's like a family friend. And like, I met Libby when I first moved here. Somehow, like, every time we'd kind of like see each other, we would click really, really well because her mature level is pretty high.
She made some extremely inappropriate comments around Libby, to Libby, seeing as Libby was a 15-year-old child on the internet. I'm not going to include any clips of this because I feel like that kind of perpetuates the issue. There were times where Amberlynn asked Libby to show her new bathing suit on camera. There was another time where Amberlynn exclaimed, "You have a cock in between your legs," when Libby was like riding on kind of like a horse thing at a playground, but it was a chicken. And her and Destiny both also joked about like buying her toys. And if you want it, like I said, I'm not going to show these clips here, but if you want to go see them yourself, they are on the internet. I just don't want to have a part of that on here. But when talking about Libby, again, Amberlynn says this.
And I had no idea she was 15. Like, every time I saw her, I literally thought she was around my age. I never like knew her age or anything. And then finally one day, like, she said that she was only 15, and I'm like, I was taken aback. Like, sometimes age does not matter. Like, Libby is like one of my really good friends, and we just get along really well, so.
And there was also an incident with a guy named Nick in Amberlynn's videos, and Nick at the time was 20, and it was very, very clear that Nick was trying to flirt with Libby, who again was 15 at the time, and Amberlynn and Destiny, being the other adults in this situation, did nothing to stop that or protect her from it, and sometimes they even encouraged it at different points. It was also brought up around this time when people were starting to talk about Libby that Casey, who was another one of Amberlynn's exes, was 15 at the time that her and Casey started talking, and I believe Amber was like 17 or 18. And so with Despectful Moments kind of unearthing this information or this follow on Instagram, all of that stuff also got unearthed again, because this has been a topic of conversation surrounding Amberlynn since people started criticizing her. And as these things started to resurface, other people on the internet also started to notice that Amberlynn was deleting videos off of her channel, and it was then figured out that the videos that she was deleting off of her channel were the ones that involved Libby. At the same time that Amberlynn was deleting these videos with Libby, people on the internet at the same time were starting to post these Ask FM posts that Amberlynn had answered, where she was basically like defending PDF file behavior. Okay. And I had a hard time finding these screenshots on the internet for some reason. But Rachel, I know, she did a video kind of analyzing all of this evidence with these claims. And she had them in her video. And so I took screenshots from those. And I'm just going to put them up here, but I will read them for you. One of the questions that Amberlynn answered on her Ask FM was, is not a matter of you can't help how you feel. And she says, actually, it is, just like cancer or depression or obesity. It's a sickness. You cannot control sickness. You can get help, but that only goes so far. Someone says, how hypocritical can you be? You always like to say you can't help who you're attracted to when people question you about being gay, yet you tell a guy it is wrong to be attracted to children. He even clarified that he wasn't talking about acting on it. I personally think both are equally wrong. And she says, I always think that too. How can I judge someone if they're sexually attracted to children? I constantly get backlash for it, and the only reason why I say that is because I can't help who I'm attracted to. Someone says, did you seriously just excuse and compare it to how people might feel about you being a lesbian? It is completely different. There is nothing wrong with being gay. Being a pedophile, however, there is no excuse. It is not, quote, normal or right, and we should not just accept it. And she says, it's not something I want to accept per se, but I know how it feels to be judged. You can't help how you feel, right? I'd just rather not have to deal with any of it. Someone else says that person needs to calm down, but is completely wrong in every way. You can't make up excuses for them, Amberlynn, that's sick. And she says, I'm not making excuses for them. I'm saying they are sick. How is that an excuse? Later on, she did backtrack all of these answers. Someone asks, do you still support pedophiles? You said you did in an old Ask FM answer. You said it was the same as depression. So do you still support other people who want to blank children? And she goes, no, I always thought they were just sick, but I was really wrong. I learned years and years ago that I was very wrong. I was young and straight up stupid. I feel nauseous from my past answers. I'm mad at myself. I can't believe I ever believed shit like that. Maybe I just trying to mask away the fact that my cousin did it to me when I was 7. It's not something I like to share, and yes, my mom knows. She's the only family member I ever told besides my brother. I guess I was trying to find an excuse as to why a family member would do that to me. That's what she had to say about that. I obviously don't agree with anything she said in these answers, except for the one where she's like, hey, I was wrong. But yeah, those old screenshots started to come back up again when all of this stuff started resurfacing. And after all of these allegations were made publicly, after Amberlynn deleted all the videos and all of that, we never really heard anything from Amberlynn regarding this again until the very end of the year. And even then it was a very small part of a conversation that she was having, and we'll get to that. That's all we kind of heard about it at this point. But it does come up in the interviews that Amberlynn's ex Beck proceeded to do after all of these allegations came out. And so that's why I wanted to cover this first. So yeah, let's just get into Beck coming on out and telling their story. Enter Beck. I'm going to put Beck up here because they're involved in a lot of this. I'm going to be honest. This is a very Beck heavy video, okay? And that's because I wanted it to be that way, and also because they just talked a lot about their experiences this year, and I'm very proud of them for doing that. So when I made my last video, Beck had just done an interview with Karina Kaboom, and coming off the heels of that, Mr. Snowflake, oh, I have a picture for him too. Hold on, let me grab him. Oh no, my finger fell on the floor. Hold on. Mr. Snowflake did a, oh, that's ugly. Hold on. Okay. Oh my God. Mr. Snowflake, he's a commentator in the Gorlworld verse. He does very long documentary style videos. And he did a Q&A on his community tab. That was just for questions for Beck. Then Beck took to their YouTube channel and answered those questions that Mr. Snowflake had, and there were 2 parts, and so we're going to cover the first one right now. Beck confirms multiple times that Amber Lynn is a completely different person on camera than she would be off camera.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. Like, there would be times that we would be arguing, having a disagreement or something, and then she'll be like, oh, well, I'm getting ready to film, so as soon as she would turn on the camera, it would be a completely different person.
Beck also says in this first part that Amber never threatened to off herself when Beck went to go break up with her, like other exes have accused her of doing in the past. But Beck said that she would guilt them in other ways, like saying who would help her, who would help take care of her, who would be there for her, that kind of stuff. And people asked Beck multiple times about the allegations that we just talked about regarding Libby and the Instagram account and things like that. And so I'm just going to put the clips here of them addressing those.
She never confessed to major wrongdoing. She basically kept the same story that she had online with me. I only found out recently that Casey was a minor, and I didn't know anything really about Libby. I'd never met her or anything, but all I did know about it was that she was Destiny's friend, and she was a teenager, and they had an adult friend who had a crush on her, and I told Amber that I thought that was weird, and Amber was like, yeah, but he was a good guy, which I don't understand how he could be a good guy and be flirting with a minor. The only other red flag I've really seen from Amber was she did have a crush on Billie Eilish when Billie was just starting out. So I think she was a teenager around then, which I told her was weird, and so did Eric and Ricky. But she said that she was almost an adult and that she acted older and looked older, so it was okay. I just really wished I would have dug deeper into these things and taken it more seriously, because they really are awful and it's unacceptable behavior. But I will always stand with victims.
And referencing the interview with Karina Kaboom, in that interview, Beck had said that Amber Lynn had like set a timer for them when they were with like family or friends, and for how much time that they could spend with those family and friends. In other words, how much time Beck could be away from Amber Lynn. People in this Q&A asked Beck to elaborate more on that, and so this is what they said.
So the timer would be for when I would hang out with my best friends. We would go down to the basement and play games and stuff, and Amber would choose to stay up in our room, and she would set timers for when I would have to leave my friends and come be with her again. And then whenever it came to like seeing my family or leaving and going somewhere without her, she would give me a time, like a specific time that I needed to be back. And if I wasn't back by that time, then there would be an argument. So on average, when I would be downstairs with my friends, the timer would be about set for 30 minutes. And when it came to seeing my family or leaving in general, she would just ask me when did I plan on being back. And whenever I would give her a time, she would give me a time sooner than that for me to be back. The timer thing started whenever I was wanting to go to the basement to hang out with our roommates and play video games, and Amber was invited to go along too, but she didn't want to go. There were plenty of times that she had been down there before, but this time she decided that she didn't want to. So she thought for it to be fair, she would allot me a certain amount of time to go down there by myself. And whenever the timer would go off, I would hear it, and if I didn't hear it, she would send me a text message and say that the timer is done.
And Beck also said that they never really had a plan to leave Amber before they did wind up breaking up with her. And when they did try and break up with Amber Lynn, that she would always try and find a way to try and stop it. And going way back, there was a Vlogmas when Beck and Amber Lynn were together that Amber Lynn's dog Twinkie was supposedly really sick, according to Amber Lynn's own telling of what was going on. They didn't take her to the vet Amberlynn didn't take her to the vet, and it was found out by an old reaction channel called Michael B. Petty that there was an emergency vet like not too far away from where they lived. But I think they like wound up going to like Chili's or something instead. And so one of the questions Mr. Snowflake was asking about this.
This was during the year that I don't really remember a whole lot. So I went back and watched that video, and the way she described it sounds really awful, and I don't remember Twinkie acting that way at all. And Amber does tend to exaggerate things, so that's probably exactly what she was doing. Because there definitely was a 24-hour vet close by, and I would have definitely taken her if she had been acting the way that Amber was describing.
Beck also confirmed that they were walking on eggshells around Amberlynn. Also, they confirm that Amberlynn would make up a number for weigh-ins sometimes because sometimes she just didn't feel like weighing herself. One thing that I think is particularly alarming from this part 1 of the interview is that Beck said that they felt like if Amber was like more physically capable and more mobile, that she would have been like more physically to them.
I have said this before, but I do think had she been more mobile, she probably would have been physical with me.
And they also say that Amberlynn never cleaned the litter boxes and that they always did that from when they first got together. Now, I didn't include everything that was mentioned in this part, but I just wanted to include the things that I found relevant. And if I didn't include it in this video, it's also probably because I've already covered it in another Gorlworld video, and I will have my full Gorlworld commentary linked down below for you to enjoy if you have not yet. So after Beck started speaking out, because I really don't think that she expected Beck to start speaking out, Amberlynn took to Instagram to address the things that Beck had talked about in this first interview with Mr. Snowflake.
Hello. It is time for some dedicated Instagram connection. So if you have any questions or topics that you want me to talk about, let me know. So I have not been with them in almost 5 years. I am a completely different person than I was then. And I'm sure Beck is also a different person than they were then. Nothing was perfect. And I'm going to let you know that some of the things that Beck has said has been true. And some of the things have been flat out lies. No matter what I say, if I defend myself or not, people will choose to believe Beck. That is the way my whole YouTube career has gone. It's not going to be any different now. So I would rather people believe every single thing that they said just to protect my mental health from having to defend myself to a bunch of people who already have their opinion made up.
But in the meantime, Beck went on Oh Lordy, It's Jordy's channel. So we got to get him out here. Beck goes on Oh Lordy, It's Jordy's channel to do a similar kind of Q&A. A couple of the more notable things from this Jordy interview were Beck talking about how Amber would make them play this game called Choosy, and then also how Amberlynn would make Beck sit behind her and like pretend to pick the lint off of her back. It got to the point where she would make Beck do this for so long that Beck said that like their arms and stuff started to hurt, and whenever Beck would want to stop these things, Amberlynn would say, well, I'm going to pause the timer, because she was timing how long they were doing this, and then allow Beck to take a break. Beck also says that during these things, they would catch Amberlynn like not starting the timer again, then they would have to do this to her longer.
And one thing that took up a lot of time was this game that she would force me to play called Choosy, where she would take a bunch of like thousands of stickers, like she bought bulk stickers, and had me pick between them all the way down until I picked one single sticker to be the best sticker of all. And she made me do this with buttons and earrings, calendar pages. She would buy a bunch of small calendars and tear the pages out and then have me pick between the pictures down to which one I liked the most. And Croc Charms. She would make me play Choosy between Croc Charms. And she didn't even own a pair of Crocs. She just had thousands of Croc Charms for no reason. And sometimes, because there was so many, like with stickers and earrings, it would take hours and sometimes even days to completely get down to just one. And another thing that would take up a lot of time is she would set a timer for 45 minutes to an hour usually. And she would have me sit behind her and pretend to pick lint off of her back because she liked the way it felt and sounded because of ASMR. And she would have me do this for so long that my arms and stuff would hurt. And whenever I would want to stop, she would sigh and just be like, well, I'm going to pause the timer. So she would pause the timer for my little break, and then I'd have to immediately go back to it, and she would unpause the timer again. Sometimes I would catch her not unpausing the timer because she would want me to do it for longer.
A lot of people after this came out, pointed out that this is like textbook, like abuse behavior for a multitude of reasons. In terms of like mentally wearing down your partner, that kind of thing, especially the choosy thing. I get decision fatigue really bad in just like normal situations, that if someone made me sit and pick my favorite thing out of a certain number of things for 45 minutes, I think I would actually lose my mind. But in this interview, someone also asked Beck about the time when they were in renal failure and they felt unsafe to drive. But Amberlynn made them drive anyway because Amberlynn doesn't have her driver's license, which I also don't have my driver's license, okay? But I don't make people drive me around. I figure that shit out myself. I just want to put this clip in of them talking about this because I feel like it's really important.
As you guys know, at that time, I was heavily medicated and I should not have been on the road. And I put myself in danger and other people in danger. And I wish I could go back and tell myself it wasn't worth it to take those risks. I'm aware that I should not have been on the road during that time. But from what I remember, I didn't really feel like I was making a conscious decision. I just knew that I felt bad, but I wasn't sure what was causing it at the time. I was afraid to leave, but I was being pressured to take care of others, specifically Amber's needs. Even though I know now that I had a choice, at the time I felt like I didn't, and I will always regret that.
I covered this whole relationship in my very first Amberlynn Reid history lesson video that I did. I think it was in like 2023, so like 3 years ago. Crazy. It has like almost 700,000 views, which is crazy too. I cover a lot of this relationship in that video with like clips and stuff like that. I go more into depth about that whole thing with Beck and the medications they were on and the health issues they were having, and how Amberlynn like made them cater to her anyway, even though their body was not functioning correctly. But Beck also says that one thing that Amberlynn would lie about the most in her videos was how much she ate during her What I Ate Today videos.
Yeah, there were times whenever she would show in a What I Ate in a Day video, she wouldn't exactly show everything that she ate. She would just show you guys what she thought was acceptable for you guys to see, and then just not even talk about the other things that she would eat. So I was just always shocked that she really thought people would believe that. And I think you guys already know this, but there were many days that she would film lots of videos in one day, and she would switch her outfits to make it more convincing that it was different days. And she would also ask me to change my outfits to make it more convincing for those videos.
I thought this was like kind of sad, but also having been in like similar-ish situations, not this bad, but like I've just felt like I had to do this a couple times. They would talk about how they would purposely spend more time like running errands or like in the bathroom just to get some semblance of peace.
Aisha asks if there were ever times where you would deliberately take longer during the errands that Amberlynn would send you on just so that you could have more time away from her.
Absolutely, yes, I would. I did it every single time, every chance I got. That's also what I would do in the bathroom a lot. I would pretend to be using the bathroom for a long time, but I would really just be in there having my peace.
Beck also talks about how Amberlynn would like keep them in a car or in a room to try and stop Beck from breaking up with her. And this becomes relevant later, and so that's why I just want to establish this now.
There were times that we would get into arguments and she would be like, you can't leave this room, or don't you dare walk out on me. But the car thing only happened one time. There were multiple other times I would try to leave her, but she would emotionally manipulate me into staying.
And to me, those were all the notable things to come from the Oh Lordy, It's Jordy interview with Beck. And again, if I didn't touch on anything in here, it's because I've probably already talked about it in another video. After Beck continued doing more interviews, Amberlynn addressed all of it in a vlog, and then Beck reacted to that, to Amberlynn addressing it on their channel. Pretty much all of this video was like a banger in terms of Beck responding to Amberlynn. And I don't want to put just like the whole video in here because that's Beck's video. But I am just going to put some notable clips here.
Hello. So welcome to a new video. It's actually February 7th at 3 a.m. in the morning. I could have totally slept and waited till tomorrow to film this, but I think it's just so heavy that like I have to do it now so I can just be completely done with it.
This was so urgent that it took you 10 days to release this video.
But this is just the example that I saw in their newest video where it made me look back and be like, yeah, like we both actually viewed this relationship completely different.
Yeah, we did view this relationship differently. I was your caretaker and you were enjoying being taken care of without any appreciation for the things that I did. You made me feel like I owed it to you, everything that I could possibly give and more. I always owed you more.
Like when personal matters like this are brought onto like a public platform, I feel like backed up in a corner, like I have to defend myself or I have to say something. But it's like, I'm not going to sit here and go through every single thing that they said, like every single claim, every single this or that, because that is just going to fuel negativity. I truly don't feel like the back and forth is productive for either of us. But if they truly feel like sharing their story is what is going to help them in the long run, then go for it. But I have to genuinely step away. Like I said, I wasn't going to speak about them, and that was standing.
You said you weren't going to speak on me, but then you continued to speak on me, and that's why this entire thing started. And thanks for giving me your permission, but I didn't need your permission to tell my story to begin with. If you're embarrassed to just say any of it out loud, why don't you just say that you did all of it? You didn't have to go through everything I said individually. You could have just took accountability for all of it at once if that's what you felt you wanted to do.
But like hearing all of these things being said, it's been hard for me because it's like I have shown growth in my personal life, and it's hard to like show growth publicly when these are things that like was happening behind the scenes. So publicly, I might look the same to you guys, but I have changed a lot.
We're only halfway through this video, and all I've seen so far is that you have not grown at all. I don't think that you should be the judge of if you have grown or gotten better. And yeah, some of the worst of it happened behind the scenes, but some of it happened publicly.
And I just want to say that anytime that I had Beck on my channel, it was never out of malice. I never meant to disrespect them, and I really did love them. This might be a little tea because no one knows, but when Beck and I were just friends while I was with Feline, and Feline did know this, don't worry. One night I got really drunk, and I told Beck, like, I really was in love with you, and I still love you, like, you're a great person. And I hyped them up because genuinely, I owe so much to them, and I have so much gratitude to them. They were there for me during some of the hardest moments of my life, i.e. when I was diagnosed with cancer. But I have never tried to show them in a certain way. Nothing was ever out of malice from the bottom of my heart, and I just really needed to make that clear.
Yeah, we were friendly for like a year until you wouldn't stop talking about me. And I was only really friendly with you because we both still talked to Eric and Ricky, and we had to be around each other. So I just wanted to keep things cordial. But I didn't really consider us friends because of the way you treated me throughout the relationship and the way you acted toward the end. And as for the private apology you gave me while drunk, I don't recall that ever happening at all. I know that you didn't say that you loved me or that you still loved me. And I know that you also wouldn't have hyped me up. I also know that I didn't drink with you after the breakup, and I don't recall you ever being drunk around me after the breakup either. The only thing that I can think of maybe she could be thinking about is maybe it was in a phone call or a text message, but I honestly really don't think that it happened at all.
I do firmly believe that two things can happen at once. I can be accountable, but I can also be frustrated. But I'm not accountable and frustrated about the same things. Like everyone likes to say, there are three sides to every story. Their side, my side, the truth.
I just got so disgusted by that. I just don't know what to even say.
And like a really good example of like people viewing things differently, like kind of what's going on with like Blake and Justin. Blake feels like one thing happened, while Justin's like, no, that's not what happened.
First of all, Amber, you are not Blake Lively. Secondly, it is very common for these types of relationships for the victim and perpetrator to have two very different sounding stories. It's not because the victim is lying, but because the perpetrator isn't likely to be willing to admit to certain things they did.
So people see it or believe it. I know it because I am my own person, and I know how I've been in past relationships. And as I've gotten older and more mature, and I've learned more about my BPD and just who I am as a person, I have become a better person, and I have become a better girlfriend. I've become a better friend. I've become a better pet parent.
Amber, you have recently threatened me, your most recent ex, Alexis, and who knows who else. This is behavior you've shown for years. You've not become better, and how dare you say you've become a better pet parent after recently losing Rarity. I don't know if I should say this, but maybe you should show this apology video to your therapist. If you're not able to see what's wrong with all of this, maybe they can help you.
I've become a better daughter. I've become a better sister, but I'm still flawed. I'm super complex and nuanced, just like we all are. And this just has to be the last time that I speak about this to protect my peace, and I hope that Beck does things that also protects theirs. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. I went into it not expecting much, but I think it was worse than I thought it could be.
And after responding to Amber's apology, Beck went on to do a part 2 Q&A with Mr. Snowflake again. There was a ton of information in this Q&A as well. So again, in an effort to just like not put the whole thing in this video, I'm just going to talk about some of the most notable things. In this part, Beck talks about how they never really felt like health was a big factor in like Amberlynn being concerned about her weight, but it was more that she didn't like how she looked.
She would sometimes cry and get upset about her weight. When I'd speak to her about it, what hurt her the most was always that she felt she would never be her goal weight and that she would never look the way she wanted to look. Weight loss is hard. I know it is. But it's been so many years since she started her channel that she could have reached that goal in a healthy way, including any slip-ups along the way by now, if she had really wanted to. I think what upset her most was not looking how she wanted to. Health was not the priority at all. Her career on YouTube was much more important than her health, and she said as much multiple times. If she were to lose weight or not be a train wreck, she wouldn't have as many viewers, and that was the most important thing to her, more than any concern for herself, those around her, or anything else. Nothing changed after her diagnosis.
Beck also says that Amberlynn was like always self-diagnosing herself with like various different health conditions based off of like vibes and Google searches. Also hadn't been a secret up until this point that Amberlynn, when talking about like potentially being bi instead of a lesbian, she always kind of blamed Beck for like not being able to fully explore that. And Beck addressed that in this video, and I think they did it really well. So I just want to put explaining that in full here.
With Amber, she would be very defensive anytime I'd try to ask her if she may be bisexual. She would say no and accuse me of trying to label her or change who she was. I'd ask about it because she would talk a lot about being with guys, the incident at the movie theater, and about other things she did. It was okay to talk about, but it felt odd to me just how often it was brought up. I think back on it now, and I do think that she might have said those things so often to get some kind of reaction out of me. Maybe to see if I'd get jealous about it. I do understand being confused about your identity and wanting to explore that, but I was never really given that opportunity to support her or to allow her to explore that part of her. We didn't talk more about it because she was so adamant that she only liked women and would shut me down anytime I asked about possibly being bi. I think it did affect me in a way, especially after the breakup and once she opened up more about it while with Jade. Jade was bisexual and poly, and Amber started to explore that more with Jade. At some point, and I've admitted this before, I think I let myself feel a little bit like if I were to be with a bi woman, she would eventually leave me for a man. That was an awful way of thinking and really pushed an awful stereotype as well as erasing the experience of bi individuals. I hate that I let myself have those thoughts, and I'm so sorry to anyone who may have noticed that I felt that way and were hurt by it. It was an awful way to view things. I've worked really hard to no longer have that type of bias anymore. I understand now that my experiences have nothing to do with bisexual women as a whole, and my experiences should never affect my expectations of others in the future. As for my experience as a non-binary person with Amber, I did bring it up a few times in our relationship. The only response I got was always, I don't know, you seem like a woman to me. It took me saying something publicly in a video recently to get her to respect my pronouns and name. So I don't think that if I'd come out at that time that she would have respected that decision.
And when they broke up, and I've talked about this in previous videos, Amberlynn basically forced Beck to participate in live streams with her and asked like how the day of like the initial We Broke Up stream went. And this is what they said.
The day of the We Broke Up live stream was really stressful. She spent the day asking me if I was sure about my decision, guilting me about how she wasn't sure what she would do without me, trying her hardest to make me feel awful. I wouldn't be there to take care of her anymore, and that's what she was most affected by. During that live stream and the following ones, it was obvious to me that she was trying to insult me and put me down to the audience. She really thought she was being clever. I knew I had to be there until I could get my things to move out, and with the promise of being paid monthly to help me get back on my feet, I tried to keep things amicable. I did try to clap back a few times though. For over a week, it was an emotional roller coaster, going from being completely fine to begging for me to come back, then emotionally manipulating me in an effort to get me to rethink my decision, and then being angry at me. Once Jade came into the picture, all manipulation toward getting me back ended, and there were no longer any moments of being nice to me. Everything became about rubbing this new relationship in my face and making sure I knew how quickly she had moved on, and making the split up as hard for me as it could possibly be. She treated Jade much better than she'd ever treated me, and she made sure that I saw that. The breakup live stream happened just a day or so after the breakup. I think she spent about 24 hours guilting me offline and trying to change my mind, then couldn't wait to go live and publicly make me feel guilty for my decision once it became clear to her that the guilt trip wasn't working. Even while Amber was dating Jade, she was still saying things to me like, "You should feel like crap for dumping me like that," or "I can't believe you dumped me like you did."
And then following that, Beck also talks about what a typical day would look like when they were with Amberlynn, and also acknowledges in this follow-up part that Amberlynn's constant want or need to play choosy or these other weird things was probably a way to isolate Beck from their friends and just force Beck to spend more time with her.
Amber would almost always wake up in the afternoon between noon and 3. The minute she woke up, she was on her phone and usually looking at DoorDash, checking socials, YouTube, etc. The rest of the day always depended on what she was into at the moment, usually doing separate things while in the same room. We did play Choosy at the apartment, but Choosy was played the most often whenever we lived with Eric and Ricky. I've read a lot of comments talking about how Choosy may have been a way to isolate me and keep me busy doing something meaningless with her for long periods of time, and I think they were right. It didn't leave much time for me to walk away and talk to my friends.
And lastly, probably one of the biggest bombshells that Beck dropped in this second interview was just how much Amberlynn financially abused them during the course of their relationship. Keep in mind, this was after Amberlynn suggested and basically forced Beck to leave their job when they were together.
Amber constantly held over my head that she was the only one with an income. During almost every argument, she would tell me how she pays all the bills and buys all the food, as if that gave her a right to control me, and as if I contributed nothing to her life. I would tell her each time that if she felt that way, I'd gladly go back to working. She'd quickly say, no, I don't want you to do that. And she didn't. She couldn't handle being apart from me for any extended period of time. She needed a caretaker, and that was already my full-time job, and a thankless one. Despite that, and doing what I could to contribute by also being in the vlogs, when she knew full well that I didn't want to be, in order to earn the home I was living in her mind, she would also be sure to take away any money I'd get from other sources. I mentioned this before, but even being seen collecting change would trigger her to question whether I was saving up to leave her. When my mother passed away, me and my siblings received a portion of a settlement from my dad's job that ended up being around $5,000 to $6,000 for each of us. I was not allowed to keep it. She told me that the money had to go into paying the bills and my half of the rent. My mom had plans for when she would have received that money before she passed away. Getting it was bittersweet, and I would have liked to use it in some way to honor her. She wouldn't have wanted Amber to have it, and it really hurt, but she took it anyway. When I told her that I would like to do something with the money, she dismissed it and treated me like I owed it to her, and it wasn't my choice. She said that I couldn't have it because the bills needed to be paid, even though I knew that she was making enough from YouTube to cover bills and rent with no problem.
Like I said in the beginning of all of this, 2025 was the year that Amberlynn really started leaning on members-only live streams, and sometimes doing those more than posting actual content. So after Beck came out with the bit about the inheritance, Amberlynn touched on that in what would have been, I think, her 6th live stream. Basically, in this live stream, Amberlynn says that the stuff that Beck was coming out with had been really difficult for her and was causing her to dissociate a lot. And she says that some of the things that Beck was saying were true, and that she wanted to be accountable for those things. Then also says that Beck has been lying about some of the things as well. Amberlynn says in this live that she felt like her silence up to that point was causing more speculation on on everything. And so she wanted to come on live and have people ask her basically what they wanted to know. And for the first half of this live stream, it really felt that Amberlynn was like being super vague with what she was saying, and it kept emphasizing that she didn't want to talk about things that weren't publicly online, but now she felt like she had to. Then she brings up the inheritance money thing, which I think is still the main thing that people are focused on in terms of, or one of the main things that people are still focused on in terms of Beck and them coming out and speaking. Obviously, Amberlynn says that the inheritance story was not true, and then obviously people were asking for receipts proving that it wasn't true. And it was at this point that Amberlynn basically just started spilling everything, okay? She explains that her and Beck had a joint bank account and that they both had separate debit cards, and that Beck was free to spend the money how they wanted, when they wanted. She really doubles down, saying that Beck had access to this joint spending account, and she also says that they would spend it on shopping sprees and stuff like that. And then Amberlynn goes to tell a story about how Beck basically pressured her into buying a $6,000 mattress that she didn't want, and keep in mind the inheritance that Beck talked about was like around $5,000 to $6,000. And so she's basically saying that it was all Beck's fault that the inheritance money was gone. And she also claims that after her and Beck moved out of Eric and Ricky's place and into their own place, that she was really trying to push Beck to get a job, because Amberlynn said that she thought that Beck was bored. She then claims that Beck started to do Uber Eats delivery. They only did 2 of them. Touching on the inheritance money again, Amberlynn says that the inheritance money was literally transferred into their joint account, where Beck had the freedom to buy and spend whatever they wanted. People in the chat regarding the bed were calling Amberlynn out, saying like you guys like shared the bed, you know what I mean? And Amberlynn says that she never laid on it, not even once, because it was too tall for her to get on. And so they ended up selling the bed because Beck never laid on it either, apparently. Amberlynn says that they sold it on Facebook Marketplace for $1,000, and then says something like, quote, "I lost out on $5,000. Then Amber talks about how she would help Beck's family out with money, and they would use it for things like bills. And that was pretty much everything Amberlynn had to say about the inheritance debacle. But she covered other topics in this live stream that Beck had brought up, but this was the main one that I wanted to focus on, because I think the inheritance thing was like the main thing that people wanted Amberlynn to address at this point, after Beck had started coming out and telling their story. So that closes out February. So let's move on to March, where even more of Amberlynn's exes come out and start talking. So yeah, my battery's gonna die. I'm gonna change that real quick. Okay, so remember Amberlynn's ex Casey that I talked about earlier, the one that she started talking to when he was only 15? Casey enters the chat, and I'm gonna put him up here. This picture is from a thumbnail. I don't know how edited it is, but I thought he looked good in it, so I that's the one that I chose. So Casey enters the chat with Beck. It's worth mentioning here too that Casey was the ex that Amberlynn wrote the infamous Rain and Petals eavesdrop poem about, in which she falsely accused him of essaying her. So yeah, I didn't for some reason mention this at all in this video, but in my first Amberlynn history lesson ever, I talk about that whole situation a lot more. In March, a channel called Lukewarm Tea hosted a live with both Casey and Beck. And Casey was never featured on Amberlynn's channel. They dated before Amberlynn had her channel. But he has since come out telling his story of dating Amberlynn, and Mr. Snowflake has done a episode of his Victims of an Empath series on Casey. I have other videos on my channel talking about his whole story. But Beck kind of opens up the conversation in this live stream and talks about how Amberlynn did the same thing to them that she did to Casey, with like kind of guilt tripping them about not having anyone to turn to, blah, 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 when they tried to break up.
Even your own family don't want you to come back. And it's like, there has to be a reason why. There's a common thread. She did the same thing to you that she had done to me. She was like, I don't have any family. I don't have anybody else. You are all I have. I need you. And I'm just like, that's so true. And I can't just leave her to her own devices because she can't survive on her own. But I mean, if you look at her patterns with who she chooses for her partners, they're always really kind, quiet, timid people. Every single one of us. Well, Destiny wasn't really all that quiet, but Destiny was very kind, like to me anyway. Everybody else that she had dated was just took care of her, was so good to her. And then whenever we break up with her, we're monsters, we're awful, we did this and that to her. And she's just got something bad to say about every single person she dated.
And the interviewer asks both of them what the most manipulative thing Amber did to either of them, and Casey tells this story.
The most manipulative thing, and it happened like continuously. I have a friend. I'm not shy about saying I have a friend. If I didn't, like, she helped me get my GED and everything. Like, she's my best, one of my best friends. When Amber was living with me, she had it in her head that I was sleeping with her. And so every time I would go to hang out with her, I would, say, hey, can I go hang out with my friend? First, she would be like weird about it. And then afterwards, she was like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, okay, you're not gonna get weird like you did last time, right? Like, you're not gonna be like messaging me and everything like that, being all mad and weird. She's like, no, I won't. Okay. So I go hang out. And this happened multiple times. I go to hang out with my friend. And then like less than probably like 45 minutes, at least 30 minutes, I get text messages. You need to come home right now or else I'm going to get on a bus and leave you. And I know you're sleeping with her constantly. So to the point where me and my friend just couldn't hang out anymore. And I was still, a teenager at the time doing all that, just wanting to hang out with friends. And I couldn't because she would be messaging me, I'm going to leave you if you don't come home right now. You have 3 minutes to get home. You have 5 minutes to get home or else I'm going to get on a bus. You'll never see me again, blah, 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 blah. And of course I felt bad and like I was doing something wrong. And then one day I come home and I'm like, why do you do that? Like, why do you always do that? She's like, because I don't like her.
And what a trip when she came back and was like, oh, but she was in my life. And
yes, she tried to add her right before accusing me of what she did. Sorry. She tried to add that friend on Facebook and my friend was just like, hey, why is she trying to add me? And I even messaged her like, why are you trying to add her? This was right before the video. She's like, well, because she was an important part of my life. I was like, you hated her. I literally told her that you hated her. You guys were oil and water. You despised her and she don't like you either. And she told me in a message that I'm making it up. That's not what happened.
After this, Beck talks about how, like, when they and Amberlynn were together, Amberlynn would talk about how, like, if she was at her ideal weight that she wanted to be at, she'd be in California and she wouldn't be talking to any of them. And by this, I assumed she meant, like, Beck, Eric, and Ricky. Amber had said this to Beck when they were still together. So this was when Beck kind of realized that Amberlynn wasn't really like into them romantically.
I definitely know that she would be because she always would tell me if I was my actual weight, I would be in California and I wouldn't be talking to any of you guys. And I would never talk to anybody my size.
Were you together at this time?
Yeah. And I was like, so basically you would be a piece of garbage. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so you'd be shallow? And she's like, yeah. It just came down to looks. And I was like, so that's really what she does think about me deep down. I knew that she wasn't into me, but like deep down, I honestly wasn't into her anymore either. Cause it's like, I was her caretaker. So it's like all those feelings were gone and out the window very quickly.
And after this, Beck also says that they feel like Amberlynn pushed them into the relationship to begin with.
What was the moment that you guys realized those feelings were gone?
It took a really long time for them to fully develop in the first place. Like, I liked her. She kind of pushed me into the relationship, because I wasn't exactly there, but she was like, well, I've got people in mind that hate me. And I'm like, well, I don't want to lose you yet. So I guess we'll start dating. So then after that, it took me a while to come around and get lovey-dovey and get close because I had my guard up anyway from past experiences. So my feelings came later But then once I started having to constantly do everything by myself is whenever my feelings just sort of left. And I just felt like I was taking care of a friend.
And Casey also answers the question of like when he felt that his feelings for Amberlynn were gone. And he went all the way back to a story about Amberlynn and Crystal and the iPod Touch, which if you're not familiar with that story, again, I cover it in other videos, and it's also covered in Mr. Snowflake's videos on Casey.
It was when the incident happened with Crystal and the iPod Touch, when she got mad at her over the memory size and made Crystal cry, and I told her to apologize to her, and I realized then that one, I knew it was going to end, and I knew I wasn't having these feelings anymore. I knew that I was just scared to be alone because I didn't know how to date. I was a kid. If she is making someone cry and being that vile over the memory size of an iPod Touch, and she told me, oh, Crystal's crying because of this, and she told me what happened, thinking that I'd be on her side, and I looked at her and I was like, you need to apologize to her. That was a simple question. She's crying.
That goes deeper into the inheritance situation because this was after Amberlynn had talked about it on her channel.
My mom was supposed to get this money from my dad's work because it was a stock that had built up over the years and it got released. So it got split up between me and my sisters. And whenever I got it, I was like thinking, I can put this back for, anything. And Amber was like, no, we need to use it for bills and stuff. And she was just like, honestly, I've paid for everything up to this point, so you kind of owe it. But her live last night, she was just like, we bought the bed. No, we bought the bed before I got the settlement. We bought the bed before my mom passed away. So we didn't get the bed from that money.
Oh, I love that.
She's like, well, then we also took a trip to Gatlinburg. I talked to my sister this morning and asked how much we all put in for the cabin. And she said it was like 160 something. And then all we did was we went and ate at Paula Deen's. We went to a Christmas store. And then we went to Walmart and sat in the cabin for the rest of the time while my family went and did other things.
And Casey actually chimes in after this to talk about how Amberlynn tried to control his money too. And mind you, Casey was like 15 or 16 when they were together, okay?
When I was younger, when my nana was still around, she would give me birthday money, right? And one year, this is when it was Crisis Core and Kingdom Hearts game 365 days over 2. And I wanted to get both of them. I had money to get both of them. I was so excited. And I just turned 17. And I go to pay for them, and she gets a little attitude. And I'm like, well, what's wrong? And she was getting mad that I was getting both games. She's just like, if you get both those games, I'm going to be so mad at you. And I was like, what? So I ended up getting one game. And I was so sad. But I ended up getting one game, and she was mad because she wasn't getting anything out of it.
That sounds about right. That sounds like her. She wasn't getting anything out of it, so she was upset because it wasn't focused on her.
At the time that she took your money back, she was making plenty of money. There was really no need for it. Or am I wrong on that?
No, she was making a lot of money. A lot of money. All I know is that at one point in 1 month, she had made like 20,000.
And Beck and Casey kind of commiserate over how how Amber had to have control over their phones at like all times.
I also started like coming across tea channels and videos of Amber being mean to Beck for 20 minutes straight. And I would watch these things, and I would watch these react channels that I was not allowed to watch while I was with her. These things started opening my eyes, and I was just like, oh my God, how I was right here. And I realized I was disassociating through 90% of it.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but did you just say you weren't allowed to watch the reaction channels?
Right. Yeah, no. Like whenever she would watch it, she would just watch it by herself on her laptop. She wouldn't have me watch or anything. No, she didn't.
Did you ever try?
I knew if I would try, she would know because she kept tabs on my phone all the time.
Oh my god, the control. Oh my god.
And she'd monitor
yeah.
your text messages and stuff?
Oh yeah, she would go through everything.
Oh my god.
She knew
I
everything.
can't.
God damn.
And I couldn't go
That-
through none of her stuff
Of
because
course.
she said she had private stuff on there in her private journal that she wrote in every day. And I was never allowed to see what was in that journal. Never. And she kept it for years.
So it's
she
a
probably
rule for
still
thee
keeps
and
it.
not for me. Did they monitor your text messages to where it's like, well, what did you mean when you told her this? What did you mean when you like sent this? What do they mean when they're telling you that? Did they do that as well? Or did she do that as well?
Yeah. Like that was actually what our last
Oh.
huge fight was about, was because she went through my text messages with Eric and Ricky and was mad that she wasn't a part of that group text,
chat.
which we had for years. Even before we knew her, we had that group chat. And so she was pretending to be me to them, demanding that we put her in that chat. And they were like, well, why don't we just make one for all four of us? And she's like, no, I want to be in that chat. Because she thought that if she got access and got added to that chat, that she would be able to see everything that we had talked about prior. So she wanted to be able to go through it as much as she wanted for years just to see, because she was so dead set that everybody constantly talked about her behind her back. That's the one thing that sparked me wanting to definitely leave her.
I will say this to like kind of touch on Beck's thing with Amber controlling the phone. She did that once, actually twice with me. I had like a little group thing on this site that went away. It was like this little anime site, and she wanted to be a part of the group. And when people wouldn't agree with her, she would be like, "Oh, I don't like them. You know, they need to be out of this group thing." That thing didn't last. It ended up tanking because it was the early 2000s. But the one thing that I remember is that one day I was getting ready for school, getting ready to go to school. And I went to school and my friend came up to me pissed, extremely mad. And I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, did you give Amber my number? And I was like, no, I did. Never would I ever do that to you. Like, no, because I knew how they were. This was another friend. And I knew how they were. And when I got home from school that day, I asked Amber, what, like, did you get in my phone and get their number to text them? And she admitted she did. She went in my phone, got their number, and texted them bad stuff just to drive them away from me.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly just think that she wants to isolate her partners to herself. She doesn't want her partners to have anybody on the outside.
So when we first started talking, again, I was 15 and all my friends were in relationships. So I was like, oh, you know, what am I doing wrong? As a teenager, you know, that social pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, it was fine. It was like normal conversation. Again, we weren't in person. You know, I met her on Moco Space. All of it, like in the beginning, like it took her no time at all, like towards the beginning, to start getting manipulative. As an adult, I see every time she tried to, like, because I wanted to talk to her on the phone because I never really got to, and I was like excited every single time. And she would hold those as to get me to either like be home and like not do anything. That way I was like waiting like a puppy dog for these phone calls. And she would always say like, well, I'm sleeping in, you know, I'm sleeping in the not living room. Like she said the kitchen at one point at her foster parents' house before they built her own room. And she's like, I can't because they'll get mad. It's late. And as an adult, I'm like, as a kid, I was like, oh, okay, but, you know, parents, whatever. As it went on, it was just like more of, you know, what are you saying on your MySpace? Why are you saying that on your MySpace? You know, I want you to say that you're with someone. You know, what are you doing? Why can't you text me at school? You know, my phone had a bad battery, so it would just die at school. Then I started to, as I was with her, I developed anxiety really, really badly. She admitted to me with text messaging and everything like that she cheated on me with a girl in the hot tub. Like she was in the hot tub and she made out with, you know, her school buddy, like not once, a few times. And she told me over text message.
For sure. Like she would, I get it. She would be so flirty with everybody. But like the second she thought that you were being flirty or anything, like, and I wasn't ever a flirty person, but it's like if she would be like if I had a female friend, do you have a crush on her or something? And I'm like, no, I'm not like you. Like I think she's stuck in being a teenager. She's never, ever going to grow out of it.
And Beck and Casey talk a lot about like similarities in their experiences, which I thought was really interesting, honestly, because like they dated Amber at such different ages, and so I think it's interesting that the experiences didn't really change that much. But if I went over all of this, we'd be here forever just talking about this one thing, and so I'm going to kind of move on. But that was like, those were the highlights for me of that interview with Beck and Casey. One thing I want to bring up here too while we're talking about this is that even though they dated Amberlynn at vastly different times in Amberlynn's life and in their own lives, both of them say that they don't believe that Amberlynn was ever formally diagnosed with borderline personality, with BPD. And I am obviously not a doctor and I went to art school, but knowing what I do know about BPD, I do think Amberlynn does show a lot of signs of having BPD. It is a common thread throughout like all of her exes coming forward saying that like she never got a formal diagnosis when they were together for it. And later on, when Destiny enters the picture, her and Beck talk about how they don't really know if she has it or not. But yeah, just from the outside looking in and knowing what I know about BPD as a mental illness, like I am inclined to believe that Amberlynn has it. But that doesn't mean that I condone her using it as an excuse for like everything that she's ever done ever. But yeah, so I just wanted to put that here when we're starting off talking about all of this. I think it was during the live stream with Beck and Casey that Amberlynn took to her community tab to post this. And once again, thank you to Apathetic Facts for these videos that have the screenshots in them, because all of Amberlynn's community tab posts are gone. And so Amberlynn says, after thinking about it and getting the opinion from family, friends, and my therapist and all of the stream queens I love and adore, that's what she calls her members that go to her live streams, I have decided I will no longer be silent in a situation where silence isn't the answer and silence is only causing me pain and allowing stagnancy in a place where I want to heal, grow, and move on. I will share my side, but I will only be doing that in my members only live streams. If you want to join, click the link below, but I want to make it very clear this will not be a place to bash Beck, to insult Beck, or to invalidate Beck. That is so funny that she said that. I forgot that was in this community tab post. It is going to be a place for me to be accountable in the wrongdoings I have done by being open about them, sharing what I did, and sharing what I could have done differently. It is also going to be a place for me to share my point of view of situations that I remember differently, because as wrong as I was in a lot of situations with Beck, it is wrong to lie and exaggerate things that are not true. I will not be doing this to be believed. I will not be doing this to have more people on my side. This isn't about that. This is about finally allowing myself to publicly be accountable and stand up for myself. Two things can happen at once. That is Amberlynn's motto for all of 2025, is two things can happen at once. Two things can be true at once, which like I agree with that most of the time. That's where a lot of my points come from on my channel when I talk about various things. But Amberlynn uses it to try and get away with a lot of things. Anyway, I can be accountable for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, 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 while also clarifying that LMNOP are not true. Do not let those two things get mixed up, please. As much room as Beck is getting to share their truth, I am now ready to share mine, without the added, well, guess what Beck did? Because again, that is not what this is about. After sharing what I did in last night's stream, bawling my eyes out and sharing my truth, I actually feel lighter, better. I feel okay. I'm sorry. I just know what happens like the rest of this year. And so it's just hindsight. Anyway, my mental health has been so bad that it has actually been scaring me, and I realize now it is because of the silence. I have been holding on to so much that wants to be let out gracefully. So I am allowing myself to do that. Member live streams are always held on Tuesday nights, but if I plan on going live again before that, I will be sure to let you know. I hope to see you there. Warning, there will be a lot of tears, but for each one, I hope it is one step closer to healing for everyone in this situation. I don't think I've mentioned so far that to be a member of Amberlynn's channel and to get access to these live streams and to be able to comment in these live streams, people were paying $10 a month. And it's like for literally nothing, like bare bones, minimum effort, you know? And so she got a lot of backlash for saying that she was putting a addressing all of these allegations behind a paywall. And so she comes back to her community tab and says, "Thank you everyone for the feedback. I appreciate the opinions and what everyone has to say. It seems like many people are upset with me willing to break my silence behind a paywall instead of doing it publicly, so I have decided I will be doing public live streams after all. I can see how doing it behind a paywall loses the authenticity. Also, this obviously doesn't take away my Tuesday night live streams with Stream Queens. It just means extra live streams and that you'll be seeing me a lot sooner than you think." Through an absurd amount of sniffles and crying, Amberlynn came on to her public live stream that was titled "Breaking My Silence." She says that Beck said things like, quote, "At least my family didn't do drugs" to her all the time, and says that neither she or Beck were happy in the relationship. And Amberlynn also says that she isn't trying to just say that everything Beck said was like 100% wrong. And she repeats a million times in this live stream that she's mainly doing it because she wants to be accountable for the things that Beck said that she did that were true. And she also feels the need to clarify that she was completely sober in this live stream as well. The live chat during this too was calling out Amber for calling out Beck for saying things like, "At least my family didn't do drugs," because there was a time in 2023 again, I think, or 2024, that Amberlynn threw Destiny's family under the bus for addiction. And that was like, and that had never been brought up on the internet before, and it was in a live stream that Destiny did with Amber on the phone. Yeah, and so when people started calling her out on this, Amberlynn responds saying that that was a very low point for her and that she should have never said that. And she says that it was a very bad look and that BPD is very hard to handle. So a lot of people in the live stream were saying, "But you haven't been formally diagnosed with BPD," because Beck has been saying that they didn't think that Amberlynn had ever been formally diagnosed with BPD. Amberlynn goes on to say that she has been diagnosed with BPD, and she holds pretty steady with that throughout all of 2025. And so, like I said, I'm personally not questioning that. But if she hasn't, she uses it as an excuse for everything. Okay. And yeah. Anyway, she goes on to try and discredit Beck even more by saying that Beck had a tendency to like mix stories together. And so she was saying that like these stories that Beck was telling were like one of these mixtures of stories that Beck apparently had a tendency to do. Also says that she wasn't always aware of how she was making Beck feel. Because someone asked her like how she could be so unaware of like how her partner was feeling all the time. And she said she wasn't aware sometimes, but then she also accused Beck of just straight up lying other times. She uses Choosy as an example of this. Apathetic Facts has a cut down version of this live stream uploaded to their channel, so I'm just gonna put some clips here.
Why were you completely unable to recognize how Beck felt and their emotions for the entirety of your 4-year relationship? Well, you have to be more specific, because sometimes I did know exactly how they felt because they told me, and I'm realizing that there was a lot of times that they lied. I think a really good example of that would be like Choosy, or like when they would give me like the anxiety massage. It's just like partner emotional regulation, like making your partner feel good and safe and loved. They really liked when I would do this. So that was like my thing that I did for them. And it's like, I almost feel like I was a burden to them. Moments that I thought we were actually genuinely bonding.
But when talking about the inheritance again, I'm going to just put Amberlynn talking about it here because I don't know if I could summarize it in a way that would make sense, because the way Amberlynn talked about it didn't really make sense.
Do you owe Beck $6,000? No. So I guess we can talk about the inheritance. I did talk about this in my Beck is saying that I took the inheritance. Me and Beck had a joint account, and it was originally their bank account. I'm sorry, I'm getting really, really flustered. And when we got together, I ended up going on their bank account together. So any money that either of us both received went into one area. In a recent, I don't know if it was video, Beck said how they didn't even have the means to look at the bank to see how much money was in there, that they had to use my debit card, that I had my own private thing. Those are not true statements. I have a screenshot. I was not able to get into the bank ever. I have so many screenshots of wondering, how much did I get paid? I would text Becky, how much did I get paid, etc., etc. Beck would literally send me screenshots of our bank, but this is just proof that that was a lie. I said, how much money is in the bank? And here's a screenshot that says, hi, Rebecca, like, etc., showing how much money we had in the bank, because I was not able to get into it. I was never able to see how much went in there, how much I got paid, unless I looked on my AdSense, which is part of YouTube, and that's how you get paid. And we had our own separate debit cards that were in the joint account together. Any money that Beck received would go into the same spot that my money went to. I didn't have private anything. This is probably the one of the biggest lies. Here we have it, where I say, how much money is in the bank? Here it says, hi, Rebecca, because this is their account right here, which we shared, but I could not get into it. So I have so many screenshots of Beck sending me screenshots of the bank because I couldn't see it. Oh, wait. Okay, I talked about this. So I'm going to cross this off. We can say that like I was abusive and controlling because I was very controlling of their time, but never once have I ever been financially abusive. We have been equally so bad with money. That's why I have nothing to literally show for anything. I literally bought them a car. I buy love. I have bought people with money. I have bought love. I have bought friendships. I have bought laughter. I have bought time with people because of money. That's how it's always been. I have never been a greedy person when it comes to money. It's almost like I got a kick out of giving people money and like going on shopping sprees and like, what? I don't know. Speechless. When I got with Beck, they had a car, but they wanted something better. And I said, you know what? Let's do it. So here, we'll see. I can't show you because then that shows like bank information. Someone said we haven't learned a damn thing. You have. Beck has lied. And I know a lot of people like, I can't show the bank information, but literally what I crossed out is me talking about, is your food cold or gross, or did you just order it? The wax melt thing in the living room is broken and spilling onto the bulb. So that's that. I'm sure someone can like screenshot it. So nothing special there.
The next thing that Amberlynn talks about in this live stream is how Beck has talked more about having to wipe and take care of Amberlynn in those kinds of ways. This was initially brought up back when Amberlynn and Beck did their like breakup streams because Beck like whispered in Amberlynn's ear once that like they had to wipe Amberlynn's ass basically. And Beck had been talking about it more over the course of them coming out and sharing more in 2025. I hadn't really put anything about that in here yet because I kind of tried to stray away from the talk of like bodily functions of any kind. But the wiping and stuff gets more relevant as we move on. So I'm going to put Amberlynn introducing the topic here.
Beck says that they wiped me. Okay, so story time on that. Beck started wiping me after my hysterectomy and it continued on after that. This part is embarrassing and this part I am going to be accountable. My hysterectomy. Okay, so wiping. Okay, I'm so embarrassed. Holy fuck. Wiping for me has always been extremely hard as a bigger girl, obviously. If you were bigger, my size, it's hard. When I was about to get my hysterectomy, that was a big thing for me that I was like, how am I going to be able to wipe myself? Because it's hard already. I'm not going to be able to. At the time, I was like, Becky, like, are you going to be able to do this for me? Like, I'm really embarrassed about it. And they were like, of course. When I was healing, I physically could not do it. Beck did it for me. And so did my mom. Me not being able to wipe it was like honestly a few weeks. Already something that was already so hard for me. I kind of lost the ability to do it. I was literally shook because I remember when I was noticing like my healing was getting better, like everything was going great. Like, holy fuck, wait a minute. I like have lost the ability to like do this. Obviously, after time, I was able to figure that out again, thankfully. I would say Beck wiped me for, I would say a good 9 months. I also did very embarrassing things for Beck. Like, that's what you do when you're in a 5-year relationship. That is what you are going to do. Moral of the story is it's my fault because of my size. Because if it wasn't for my size, like that would have never have had to happen. But then this goes down to people asking like, did Feline do that? No, because like I said, Beck did it for because eventually I was able to do it again. That is the only thing they helped me with. 2019, they got me a bucket with some water twice to like help wash myself because that was during a hard time as well. But never ever once did I have them bathe me, shower me. And if it did, I would tell you, because I just told you the most embarrassing thing. Like if someone had like come to my head and said, what is your biggest secret ever? It would have been that. I had a partner who wiped me for 9 months.
Lynn also talks about how the story that Beck wasn't allowed to go through her phone or diaries weren't true. And she uses proof of a journal entry from July 24th, 2021.
The part about Beck saying they were never allowed to go through my phone, they were never allowed to read my journals is a lie. I have proof. So this journal, this isn't like a fake story time. On July 24th of 2021, I think I'm done reading this journal to Becky. This shit has gotten kind of deep and I want to go even deeper. There are some things I don't want Becky knowing, mainly because I'm embarrassed. I haven't told Becky she will no longer be reading this journal, but I should probably tell her soon. So obviously I don't want to show you guys what else it says in here. So I took a screenshot of the actual page, but I took out everything else. So again, July 24th, 2021. And this is when I started meeting Feline. So I was like writing things about Feline and I was like, this is awkward. Why would I let Becky read this? Obviously I can't show proof of everything under the sun. Like that's not possible. Someone said your handwriting sucks. Sorry. So the red is just me blocking out stuff that, you guys, that's embarrassing. I can't show the whole journal entry. Like if this was back and they were like, I have a journal entry to prove that Amberlynn did this, people would be eating that up, like literally.
Here's the thing that crossed my mind when Amberlynn used that as like a receipt of some kind. We know if we've been watching Amberlynn for like any period of time, it's that this girl hoards journals like nobody's business. She doesn't really like show that this was actually like an old journal that she had written in. And so like this could have just been made up like right before she went on live. You know what I mean? Then after this, Amberlynn just goes to villainize Beck even more.
Beck got to read my full-fledged journal entries, even though they're telling everyone that they didn't. They're allowed to like lie about stuff because the tea is piping. Behind my back, Beck admitted to using me for money. And that is the only reason why they were with me. Beck literally called me a fat fucking bitch. And that genuinely shocked me. Beck would, like, during an argument, would say kind of harsh things, obviously, but never, like, vulgar. So when I heard, like, using me for money, like, low-key, it felt like it made sense to me. I would tell them, like, get a job. Like, I could tell you're bored. They tried Uber, but they only did it, like, twice. And I'm like, I always try to be super supportive with their passions. Like I bought them all kinds of like this art stuff so they could start an art business. Let me take off that part about the journal real quick. Did you ban Beck from watching reaction channels? No. Beck literally doxed Zachary Michael's like full name in one of my YouTube videos. And there's literally a clip of it. And I was like so confused because I didn't even know Zach's full name. Like how did Beck know it over me? Beck wiped and bathed you.
And I could include more and more clips of this, but this live stream is basically like Amberlynn doing what Amberlynn has done best, like throughout the entire time she's been online, and people have started coming out and talking about their experiences with her. She did everything she said she wouldn't do, both in the community tab post when she started the live stream, that kind of stuff, and just wound up saying that pretty much everything Beck said was wrong for one reason or another, and that she was like the ultimate victim in this situation. But the end of this live stream is her clarifying more about the inheritance.
You didn't say what happened to the 6K. All you said was you shared a bank account. The 6K just went into the bank account. I don't know. It went into the bank account. But I remember Beck recently saying like they wanted to do things for their mother with that money. They got tattoos, went to the cabin, and we would buy cute little gifts to put next to the headstone and like things like that. Like it didn't come out to 6K, no, but like They were free to do whatever they wanted.
And yeah, so after this, Beck came on their channel again with a video. And I think they did this as a live stream first, but then they posted it as a video to their channel. And it was called Blame Reversal 101. And I could go point by point going over what Beck talked about in this video. But again, that would just be me taking their video and putting it in mine. But they do a really good job of breaking down 11 different points where Amberlynn lied or misrepresented the truth in her live stream. One of the points that I do want to cover from this live stream is Beck addressing Amberlynn, saying that they called her a fat fucking bitch and that they used her for money. And I will put them explaining that here.
Number 4. She says that Eric and Ricky told her that I admitted to using her for money and called her a fat fucking bitch. And I know some of you really wanted that last part to be true, but I truly do not remember saying those things to Eric or Ricky. I did complain about Amber sometimes, but I never made fun of Amber's weight or body, even after the breakup. And why would I admit to using Amber for money if that's what I was doing? It just doesn't make sense. Eric and Ricky are also notorious gossips, and they love the drama. They told me back when we were still talking that my own sister and Logan were talking crap about me behind my back, and they weren't.
And Beck also talks about Amber's claim about Amberlynn like suggesting they get a job and them doing Uber Eats delivery.
Number 5. Amber claimed to have told me many times to go get a job if I was so bored, and that she supported me in working or starting my own business. She also said that I only ever Ubered twice. That was a lie. I drove for Uber when I could off and on, even after the breakup. Buying me some art supplies doesn't equal being supportive of me working and having a job. She admits herself in this live stream that she was controlling of my time and never wanted me to leave her alone. Which is it, Amber? Was I allowed to leave to work, or did I always need to be with you?
But the main thing that I want to talk about here with Beck's video is how much more Beck elaborates in this video about the inheritance. And Beck goes more into this by going over screenshots that Amberlynn shared.
Number 9. Claims she never saw the settlement money and that, quote, it just went into the joint account. I don't know what happened to it. Number 10. She lied and said that she took the joint debit card away from me because Jade was uncomfortable. That card was only attached to the joint account we shared that originally was my account, and by that time she already had a separate private account with the same bank that all of her money was going into. Screenshot B, the banking. A, how much money is in the bank account? B, sends screenshot of account that both of them had access to. She doesn't show a date for when this was, but it seems like it is before she opened her private account with the same bank. I want to reiterate that when we got together, only I had a bank account. She asked to deposit the money she would make from YouTube into my account because she did not have her own. So this is the only time that she was not able to see what was in the account or access it herself. I don't remember exactly when we went to the bank, but it was around 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. That day she opened her own private account and also officially had her name put on mine, making my account the joint account that we both had access to. Eventually she had her YouTube checks directly depositing into her private account. But when it was in the joint and when it was in hers, she had full access to both. I only had a card for the joint account that was originally mine. After quitting my job and slowly becoming her full-time caretaker, I had no money of my own going into the account, but nothing was spent without her knowing about it or being the one to spend it herself. Screenshot B, point 2, banking. September 2nd, 2021, only a couple months after breakup, June 19th, 2021. A, you need to open your own bank account. Just open a new one. I'm going to keep this one for now. I need you to start using your own money for redacted and stuff. Plus, when I pay you on this 22nd, I don't want you using this bank account anymore. B, then go to the effing bank with me. So I believe that this was when she was urging me to open a new account and take myself off the joint account. That again used to be my account. But I'm pretty sure that I needed her to go with me to the bank to make these changes to the account. And I just wanted to say also that it's weird that the way she shows these screenshots, I can't read them myself, and she reads them out loud. But in some, she doesn't read it directly. It just throws the doubt around. I also want to add that I think the thing that she marked out was weed, and I don't care if people know that I used to smoke. I did care once upon a time, but that's all I can think of that might be redacted in that message. And I think maybe why she said this is because she might have bought me a vape or some at some point.
They say that Amber Lynn hid journals, whether they were digital or physical or whatever. And that they were definitely not just like sitting around reading Amber Lynn's journals. But Beck said that the only time they ever asked to go through Amber Lynn's phone was after Amber Lynn had asked to go through theirs.
Now, as I talked about the screenshots, I need to discuss the journals with you. The journals confused me at first. I barely remember her writing in them the majority of our relationship. She talks about it like she was sitting there reading her journals to me or handing them over whenever she added a new entry. I don't remember ever reading her physical journals. I remember seeing her write down her weigh-ins or goals, and I remember an essay she wrote that she wanted me to read. I also remember her using her journals for stickers and scrapbooking. But beyond that, I wasn't just sitting around and reading her journals for fun. I think it's odd that she's using journal entries to prove anything, and even more odd that it was to prove that she would have let me go through her phone according to her. Especially when she lied about having 2 phones and then suddenly had both phones and has kept every single text message and photo ever. It is interesting that she brought the journals up because it reminded me that she had this online secret private journal on her phone and laptop that she says she had for years, probably back when she knew Casey and Crystal. And that was the journal she really never wanted me to see. But obviously, I wasn't looking to read her journal. I had only asked to go through her phone because of how often she went through mine. I was like, why can't I go through your messages? Who are you talking to? And she would make excuses for why I couldn't look and just needed to trust her. Eventually, I just didn't care anymore.
And there was also part of this video that I really wanted to highlight, because I think Beck does a really good job of explaining how everything just like overlapped in their life with Amber Lynn and made kind of like the perfect storm to where they kind of just shut down and like didn't try and leave or anything for a while.
Now I want to talk about something really serious with you guys. Talking about DV and SA is an incredibly sensitive topic to handle. While I am a victim of Amber's abuse, I am not a victim of either DV or SA by her hands. In this live stream, Amber makes outrageous claims against the people she's wronged and ignores others. She doubles down on her accusations against Casey with no hesitation because Casey dared to stand up against her. She ignores the allegations of hitting Jade and ignores being inappropriate with Libby. She tries to insinuate that I pressured her into a relationship for sex because I claimed before that she pressured me into a relationship when I wanted to take it slow. She's always turning accusations around and making them her own to point back at people. On the day that I asked Amber to be my girlfriend, we were having a Netflix and chill type of date. I was really into the movie and Amber wanted to make out and cuddle. I told her I didn't want to in that moment because I was into the movie and this started a fight between us. This was the fight that she essentially told me she had many people lined up who wanted to date her, and if I didn't hurry up, she would find somebody else. I did like her at the time and I didn't want to lose her yet, so then I asked her to be my girlfriend. Looking back on it, it's obvious she just wanted me to make it official as quickly as possible. After we started dating, the financial and economical abuse wasn't far behind. Economic abuse is a form of abuse when one person has control over the victim's access to economic resources, which diminishes the victim's capacity to support themselves and forces them to depend on the perpetrator financially. Amber didn't have her own bank account and I allowed her to use mine and eventually join it officially. Amber had control of the joint account. Amber had control over her own private account. It was all Amber's money. She used paying for bills and buying food and gifts as leverage to get away with anything. This was enough in her mind to justify all the things I did for her and owe her more. I took care of her because I cared about her and knew she couldn't do a lot of things herself. I cleaned up after her and the pets. I ran errands for her. I took her to appointments and restaurants and anywhere she wanted to go. I made her a huge part of my life and inner circle. I tried my best and did anything she wanted me to do. Meanwhile, she sees the relationship as her being taken advantage of because she paid for things, like paying the down payment on the car that I drove her around in. She bought food because she wanted it, and she paid the bills because she also lived there. If I had a job, I would have been contributing. But she used the fact that she could afford it and she needed me as reasoning for me to not get a job. And Amber used her paying for things that I needed to manipulate me into handing over the money for my mom's settlement. She says otherwise, but it was not left in the joint account. All of this to me shows a clear power imbalance in our relationship that just kept growing and growing. On top of being financially controlled, I mentally wasn't in a healthy state of mind for most of our relationship. I was struggling with years of depression, and then when I finally tried to get help, the psychiatrist I was seeing misdiagnosed me and overmedicated me. I was on multiple medications, maybe 4 to 6 at one time. Mood stabilizers, anxiety meds, the combination and switching of medications had me completely out of it. I was bad before, but this was different. I was experiencing a lot of negative side effects, and Amber tried to minimize this by saying it was only 3 months. I don't know exactly when I started taking the medicine, but it was the longer part of 2019, I believe. She also tries to minimize the effects of my kidneys shutting down.
The renal failure was very, very thankfully short-lived. So it was very quick, thankfully, because that was also very, very worrisome.
These two things overlapped, but both had long-lasting effects. The doctors eventually wanted to do blood work because they were considering putting me on lithium, and that's when they found out that I was going into kidney failure. After more testing, they found it was the metformin causing it, and I was able to recover, but it wasn't quickly.
Beck also talks more about the whole wiping situation, and even says that in the way that Amberlynn had to wipe herself, she had used like Beck's friend's late mother's washcloths or something like that.
After Amber's cancer scare and hysterectomy, I was the one who took care of her while she was healing. And yes, I was the one who wiped her. But I wiped her plenty before that. I believe from sometime in 2019 to June 2021 when we broke up. Before I started wiping her, she would use washcloths to wipe. She would set them on the corner of the sink, and then she would turn herself around to wipe herself on it. And then she would throw them away. Our roommates started to notice that their late mother's washcloths were disappearing. And they confronted her about it, and she wanted me to lie to them for her, but I didn't. She ended up buying more washcloths for herself, and instead of throwing them away, she had me wash them in the sink and then put them in the washer. Wiping ended up being the lesser of two evils at the time. Amber also said that I only brought her a bucket a couple of times. And that is true, it only happened a couple of times. But I did help her get spots she couldn't reach. And in between the bucket baths, she just didn't shower. I also didn't only brush her hair once either. It needed to be brushed every few months.
I also just want to mention that Beck talks more about like free bleeding, Amberlynn free bleeding and stuff around the time, I think before she got diagnosed with the uterine cancer that she had. And so Amberlynn was just like free bleeding like crazy and like refused to go to the doctor for it. And so Beck was just left to like clean this up and clean up after her over and over and over again, which I cannot even imagine. And with that and everything regarding like bodily functions and Beck helping Amberlynn with her hygiene and things like that, I want to point out here that Beck even says this in the live stream, but if they didn't, that up until this point, Beck made a very conscious effort to not disclose this kind of stuff about theirs and Amberlynn's relationship. And I always admired them, honestly, for like not going there for a long time, because I think that's the kind of stuff that the community surrounding Amberlynn like really eats up. At the same time, I also completely understand why after Amberlynn's addressing all of what Beck had been talking to up to this point, why Beck got like pushed to the point of like going lower than they ever had before and talking about more of this stuff. Had made it like abundantly clear, at least in I think 2024, that like They did not want Amberlynn to talk about them on her channel, but Amberlynn repeatedly just could not keep Beck's name out of her fucking mouth. I honestly really do admire Beck for it taking like them this long to like get pushed to the point of starting to talk about more of the hygiene stuff. To close out this live stream of going over everything, Beck like really eats down with this closing statement, so I'm just gonna let them take it away.
Amber doesn't want to say that she is an abuser. I am saying that. She wants to claim this diagnosis and that diagnosis, but the diagnosis doesn't matter. Her self-awareness is non-existent. Everyone has noticed that she takes zero accountability or responsibility when in private. She will beg and barter and manipulate until everyone sees it the way that she sees it. She can't do all of that publicly, and no abuser wants their abuse to be aired out. Amber, I just wanted you to finally take some accountability for the shit you've done. If I really wanted to humiliate and embarrass you, I would have just done this years ago. The only way to hold you accountable is publicly. Bringing awareness to the abuse and having your audience see between the cracks. Your public live stream wasn't about an apology or healing. It wasn't about breaking your silence. It was about silencing others, especially me. You did not take this seriously. It is inappropriate to laugh when you are talking about other people's trauma, especially when you're the one who caused it. I can laugh about my trauma with friends, but making fun of what your victims have experienced is insensitive and weird. You are trying to convince everyone that I did just as much to you as you've done to me. And since you don't feel abused by me, then I should not feel abused by you. But the difference is, I do feel abused by you, Amber, because you abused me, and you've abused other girlfriends in the past too. Name the worst thing I did to you. Tell me what it is so I can take accountability for it if it was so bad. Because all you've said about me is that I'm a liar and use you for money. Just because you feel attacked by my perspective doesn't make it a lie. And I wouldn't have dealt with so much if I was only with you for the money. And still to this day, you have the audacity to say that the worst thing you've put me through was forcing me to spend time with you? It is laughable if it wasn't so sad. The funny part is you are kind of right. Forcing me to spend all my time with you kept me from my mom while she was dying. These were the darkest moments of my life. I look back on them now and wish I could slap myself awake from a nightmare. I don't know why I let her control me so much. I wish I would have just run away and told her no. I have so many regrets from that time, but she knew what she was doing. She knew she was manipulating me into isolating myself from my own family, begging me to spend time with her instead of my mom, causing rifts between us in the very little time I had left with her. I hate that because of Amber and her hold on me, I wasn't there for my mom the way I wanted to be. I hate that I don't remember our last Christmas together. I hate that she cried for me when she was losing so much.
Abuse changes people. It can turn you into someone completely unrecognizable. It could take years for you to find yourself again and to make sense of what was even happening. To those of you who haven't experienced something like this before, I hope that you can see this as a tale of caution. And if you have experienced something like this similarly, then I hope this helps you feel less alone. I hope that my mom is out there watching and seeing the changes I've made and is feeling peace knowing that I am safe, happy, and loved. I hope that she is proud of me for sticking up for myself and for speaking out against Amber.
And for a little bit of like much needed levity at this point, I want to share this TikTok that I found of someone like trying to figure out how Amberlynn did the whole wiping thing. Yeah, so I'll put that here.
So allegedly, Amberlynn Reed takes a washcloth, puts it on the edge of the counter. Keep in mind, she's almost 600 pounds. And people, her exes are saying this is how she wiped the poo off her booty.
Okay, let's see a demonstration.
I don't know if it should be wet. Should I wet it? Or we're going to do it two different ways. This is dry. It's a dry rag. Okay?
It's clean.
It's clean. It's clean and it's dry.
Poo free.
Now, Amberlynn is almost 600 pounds. I don't understand the magic or the method of this situation. Is the rag still up there?
Barely.
Is the rag still up here?
Barely.
So does she do this? Is she doing this?
Did you just figure it out?
This is what Amber is doing.
I fell.
Stop.
Are you doing it a second way?
No, because I'm gonna have a wet ass. But that's a dumb method. If she's doing that shit, she needs to get help.
And normally, I would say it's ableist to make fun of these things, okay? People have to do what they have to do, right? But we are only like 2-ish months into this video, okay? We have like 9 or 10 more months left of stuff to cover. I think it'll be even more clear than before that Amber Lynn is not a good person. And so like, I'm all for some jokies here, okay? And like I said, I don't think we can really blame Beck either for going lower and starting to talk about the hygiene stuff, because Amber Lynn continued to talk shit about Beck even when they didn't want her to. But then also, like, when Beck got the strength to come out, she basically just started discrediting everything they said. And so I've always believed that Amber Lynn's hygiene and like inability to take care of herself in that way has always been a big insecurity for Amber Lynn. And was not something that like she wanted on the internet at all. And if you were to go back and watch my initial Amber Lynn history lesson where I talk more about her and Beck's relationship just as a whole, some of the stuff that Amber Lynn posted with Beck in it about Beck was like insane to post about your partner. And so like, I think Beck was well within their rights to share this one thing about Amber to really get under her skin. And get under her skin, Beck did. And because after this video live stream that Beck did, Amber Lynn took to her community tab and made a very long post about everything. Amber Lynn says, "Hello. I feel it's important to be transparent with all of you. As many of you know, I've been dealing with the fallout from Beck sharing personal details about our relationship, me, and spreading lies/exaggerating situations. It's been a tough time, and I've been doing my best to navigate through everything. I'm a human, and sometimes my emotions, especially with BPD, get the best of me. This whole situation is extremely heavy and unfair. Imagine this happening to you. What would you do? I will no longer stay silent in a situation where I feel threatened to, quote, shut my mouth. With the disgusting things Beck has been saying recently, I have lost any respect I had for them. I want to be very clear that this absolutely doesn't take any accountability away the accountability and apologizes I have expressed already. Those things still stand. All of those things can happen at once, especially in a 5-year relationship that was extremely complex. 2 people can be shitty at once. I was shitty. I listed out reasons why. But I wasn't all bad, and I will tell you one thing, Beck was never all good. One of the hardest parts of all of this has been the overwhelming amount of harassment I have received. The fact that I feel like I'm being attacked and misunderstood by thousands feels awful, especially in a situation where I am being truthful and vulnerable. This whole situation has validated that no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how much proof I show, I will always be the villain. I show screenshots that Beck is lying, and it still isn't good enough. While they get to say whatever they want, and it is automatically believed because anyone who is versus Amber Lynn already gets a pass just for that. It's hard to keep pushing through when I feel belittled and dehumanized. This situation has left me feeling like a shell of a person. Because of everything that's been happening and the toll it's taking on my mental health, I have made the decision to take a step back from posting. I need time to focus on my well-being and to clear my mind. I don't know for how long. I don't know what my next steps are. I just know that I need some space to breathe and focus on myself. Thank you to those who have shown kindness and support during this time. It truly means more than I can express. Thank you for not allowing Beck to taint your view of me, because you know how to be nuanced, have critical thinking, and you know that there is a gray area in most situations. I'll be back when I'm ready. Love, Amber Lynn. After this, Amber Lynn went live to her members, and then Salty Crab, who, like I said, her videos have, since her channel's been wiped, she posted like a summary of this live stream after the community tab post, very much transforming it in her own way. Then Amber Lynn posted an Instagram story where she said to have Salty Crab check their DMs, and then Salty Crab took to their community tab saying, "I'm so sorry to anyone who didn't get to watch my video that I posted yesterday. Amber Lynn threatened to give me a copyright strike on it because she still thinks members only content cannot be posted under any circumstances. And while I believe that my video was completely transformative and 100% fair use, I took it down to avoid the headache of dealing with her. Again, I'm really sorry to anyone who missed it." And I wanted to just put this in here because Salty Crab's channel is just now completely gone in February 2026. But it was also during this time that Emily/Tommy, remember her? Gotta put her up on the board. Emily/Tommy was seen around this time posting on Instagram about how much she missed her late fiance, which totally understandable to miss your fiance that died, right? Throughout this entire video, because Emily will be coming up a lot from this point on, we need to remember that Emily is a confirmed feeder, okay? Some might even say a death feeder. And these allegations were confirmed during the course of Amber Lynn and her relationship the first time, because screenshots from various websites came out and all of that. But it's also worth remembering throughout this entire thing that Emily's fiance passed due to complications with pneumonia, presumably due to her size, because Emily's past fiance was nearing 1,000 pounds at the time she passed away. But I just wanted to put here that this is kind of where Emily entered the scene again, like in March. And this was like the first time we saw her post her and Amber Lynn allegedly breaking up in February. There was also some like dramas with Amber Lynn's former bestie Alexis, if you remember her from the last video I did with this board and the pointer. Honestly, it seems like Alexis kind of only comes around like when she wants attention and or money, and so I'm not gonna talk about that too much here because I don't really care. But after that, Emily/Tommy was seen waxing poetic on her Instagram, and basically admitted that Amber Lynn was a rebound for her late fiance. And the Instagram post read, "When you're desperate to feel anything other than heartbreak, you learn to blur the edges of red flags. You find yourself clinging to the warmth someone offers, even if shadows linger behind it. Sometimes the warmth you cling to is just the glow of the gaslight, and by the time you realize it, you're already burned. The grief has a way of making comfort feel like salvation, and in the quiet ache of loss, you only want to see the light, even if it flickers." It's like, knowing what you know about Amber Lynn's community, like, you know that they're gonna see this. But in the comments of this post, someone started talking to Emily about things, and Emily responded saying, "Wow, thank you for sharing that with me. When the BPD got brought up, Initially, I also had the mentality of convincing myself I can handle it because of my professional background. It's very different on a personal level, especially if you're already in a vulnerable state, especially when there's a strong pattern of skilled manipulation involved." And then the person that Emily/Tommy was talking to replied, and then Emily/Tommy hearted that comment, which to me meant that she like agreed with it. But around this same time, Amber Lynn took to her Instagram story to answer some questions, and it was pretty heavily implied at this time that her and Tommy were still together at the time of Tommy posting these things, saying that Amber Lynn was like a rebound for her late fiance. So Amber Lynn took to her Instagram story and did a Q&A, and the first question Amber answers is, quote, "Are you talking to anyone right now?"
I'm done with relationships. I am going to be single for the rest of my life.
And then the next question is, "Are you upset and or confused Tommy is talking about you in her post comments?"
Oh, for sure, because that's not the stuff she was saying to me 3 nights ago.
The next question is, "Girl, when are you going to dish out any tea on Tommy now?" Eye emoji.
I genuinely, from the depths of my soul, am not that type of person. But it seems like I keep getting mixed up with the wrong people. Like, I'm just done. Like, I don't want any friends. I don't want any girlfriends. Nothing. I'm done with everyone and everything.
Someone else says, how are you feeling? I hope you're okay, heart.
So answering this question completely honestly and transparent, I feel broken. I feel lost. I feel hurt. I feel confused. I feel like I don't know what to do with my life. I feel like I don't know who I am. And I don't know. I just want to feel better. I want to be better. And I just feel like everything is just a lot.
Then someone says, this is actually fucking sad, the way people are making you feel, heart, so unfair.
I know it's a lot easier said than done, but I know that I will be okay one day. I know that, like, this is just a bump in the road. It's just a fleeting moment. It's a very long fleeting moment, but I know that I'll be okay. And I just want to say, I thank you guys so much for all the support lately. It's meant more to me than you know.
And lastly, someone, or Amber, there's no way we can know, wrote in to say, you are undoubtedly one of the strongest people on this earth. Don't forget it, heart.
Stuff like this genuinely makes me want to cry. I think I'm just trying to be strong. Maybe I'm trying to just like fake it till I make it type of deal. Because how I feel is, it's unmatched. And it's like, I can't stop crying. I literally can't stop crying. I don't know how my makeup's on. I don't know how it looks so good because all I do is cry. Like, my face is swollen. Like, I just look like a wreck. Like, I saw my mom last night and she was like, Amberlyn, I have never seen you so depressed. And it just, like, broke my heart, really. Because, like, as a mother, I imagine that's, like, really hard to see. But, like, I'm really not that strong. I guess I try to be, but like, I'm emotional, I'm sensitive, I'm a softie, like, and it's just like, everything's a lot. It really is.
And so, but I think the most notable thing about this entire situation was that Amberlyn lied about her and Tommy being broken up, at least for as long as she had been saying they were broken up for. So after the drama with Tommy on Instagram, Amberlyn went live and basically spent the whole time crying, and admits that she was now freshly broken up with Tommy. But like a lot of her lives in the past, she's still messaging someone on her computer while being live on her phone. There are large portions of this live where like she just does not acknowledge the chat at all. And just keeps messaging whoever on her computer. Again, keep in mind, people pay $10 a month for this, okay? Which is like their prerogative, right? I feel like when you give Amberlyn money, you should probably know what to expect and like to keep your expectations like pretty managed. Regardless, this is what Amberlyn is choosing to give her audience that is paying her money. And another notable thing that happened in this live stream was when asked about her pets, she says that she's keeping them offline for now because people get, quote, too judgmental when they ask her about them or when people talk about them. So, in an absolutely slam bang finish to the month of March, okay, Destiny enters the chat. Gotta put her up on the board. Destiny enters the chat. And Beck and Destiny go live. And when I tell you that for us longtime viewers of Gorlworld, this is the collab that a lot of us both asked for and needed, I'm only being slightly hyperbolic, okay? Because they went live not once, but twice. The first time was them going over some text messages that Destiny had from when her and Amberlyn were together. And I think one of my favorite parts of this live stream were Beck and Destiny like commiserating over like the lines or like moves that Amberlyn would pull on both of them. But that's also kind of incorrect when talking about the messages in this live stream, particularly because the messages from Amberlyn to Destiny in this live that they go over were sent to Destiny from Amberlyn after they had broken up. Okay, that's very important context here. In these clips, Beck is reading the part of Destiny, and Destiny is reading Amberlyn's messages to her.
Do you want to do those things today? I'm almost ready.
Okay.
You on your way? I'm too excited to get out of the house.
Not yet. Soon, though.
Are you excited to hang out with me?
Yes. I'm sorry for all the calls and texts. I just feel like my heart is being ripped out of my chest slowly. In a way, I feel like I'm handling it better than I could be. Wants to give me pills. What pills? The F? Anxiety pills, I guess. Oh, where would she get those? She has them. Are you on your way now? Not yet. But there are a lot of things I want to do. I don't want to be rushed, and it looks like I'm going to have to be. And I want to go and buy the movie theater ticket way early and get the seat I want. We were supposed to do my hair today before we did anything. Okay. Listen, this is what I was talking about when I said I had to pick her hair. Her hair, like the way that she left it, it was in a bun. And then, like, I don't know, her hair was so long. It like went past her butt. And she kept it in that bun all the time. Well, she had like kept it in that bun, and then and it got matted, didn't it? It like not only did it get matted, but like it was like the front of her, like how my hair does this, like the front of hers, she had like kept doing it like that, but it was like super long, and she kept like just curving it kind of like with her head and tucking it into the bun. And like I don't know, I had the picture for so long on my phone of like the way it looked because I was just like, you look crazy right now. Yeah. But she wanted me to fix her hair from not being like that before we went and did anything. But when I finally did do that, it took me like 3 hours. Wait, so do this entire time whenever she said we were supposed to do my hair today before we did anything, she meant that you were supposed to pick her hair? Yeah. I thought this entire time you were supposed to take her to get her hair done. No, I couldn't get her to, I mean, she wouldn't have gone with it like that. But for a long time, I told her she needed to go and get it like trimmed because like a couple weeks before we broke up, she tried to trim it herself. And she just like I said, it was like past her butt. She threw it over her head and then tried to just like cut straight across like the ends. And it ended up like this. Like it was in like a V because it wasn't even. She had so many dead ends. And I was like, now it looks like crap. And now you have to cut off even more. So then I had to cut it straight across. And it was straight across, but then she kept putting it up in that bun, like I said, and it turned into that mess. Yeah. No, I get it because she would do that and leave it like that, and then it would get matted, and I would have to sit there for hours and pick out that rat's nest, and it would be so greasy, and it would take so long, and it would hurt her. Like she would cry and stuff because it would be so painful. And it's like, please get your hair cut, then it'll be easier to manage. But she would not do it. She absolutely refused. I know. And like when I picked her hair, I used like an actual I went to Sally's and got stuff. I got like a pick, and I used like baby oil. I used conditioner. I used so much stuff. Yeah, it's like you were really trying, and it's like she wasn't trying to keep it from happening. Yeah, but we had to try to take care of it. I only did it the one time. She had never done that before. I'd had to do it more than once. Yeah. So, geez. But it's like at least you were willing to still try to do it, and you were broke up with her. Yes. That was not your place. None of it was. Like all of these things that you still made me do for so long, none of that really was my responsibility. But like at the time, I felt bad because she didn't have nobody else. By herself, and she had nobody else. Like exactly. That was her own fault. Because like I mean, she was hanging out with his cousin, and like, but she didn't want to hang out with them unless her hair wasn't like that for one. And then like she didn't want to talk to them about that kind of stuff. She just wanted to be like chameleon to them, like she just like formed to hanging out with them. Right. Yeah. She didn't want them to see that side of her. Yeah. Because it was embarrassing. Yeah, it was. Right. But it's like it was totally fine for us to see that, and for us to have to deal with it. Literally. Why don't you want to leave yet? I'm about to. I'll text you when I leave. Why don't you care that I want to spend the day outside of the house? I do. You don't, LOL. You would have left already. I do. Please don't. Then can you just leave now? I've been ready and waiting like a complete loser. I am soon. That's what you have been saying for 2 hours now. I am, though. What is taking so long? I feel like she would be whining the entire time. I'm so surprised she wasn't calling you back to back, dude. She was. That's why she was saying she was sorry for all the texts and calls, because she was calling me. If I wasn't responding to her on this, like, very quickly, she was trying to call me and everything. And, like, there's some of the times you can see where it took me a while to call her back. It's because Dana took my phone and, like, would either turn it off or just put it somewhere else because we were getting very annoyed. Right. I mean, I don't blame you guys either. Like, this is your ex. She shouldn't be calling and texting. Where are you? Where are you? Literally. It's like, you don't have control over me anymore, man. I am, though. What's taking so long? Nothing. Then there you go. If you weren't doing anything and you know what I'm going through, you tell Dana you have to go. I just wish I understood everything better. I'm sorry. Can you explain it to me? Explain why I'm here waiting for you when we should already be hanging out. I don't have an explanation. Do you just not want to be near me? That's not it. You want to be around her. Sorry. We have plans though, Destiny. I am coming. You're completely putting me last. Oh my God, you have no idea how many times she would say that to me. You're completely putting me last. You're always putting me last. Oh my gosh. Not trying to. We aren't going to have time for me to do anything. Need to be at the movies at 10. I want to go to Target. I want to eat. It will take us an hour to get there. Like, what are you doing to me? You're torturing me. I would never do this to you. I'm going to be there soon. You haven't even left yet, Destiny. I'm really sorry. I am about to. How can you be really sorry if you aren't doing anything about it? You only say sorry if you're going to change what is hurting someone. You've become cold. I always thought the world of you. I never met someone like you. Kind, gentle, patient, understanding, warmest heart I've ever met. But now, look at you. I don't understand what has happened. Amberlynn, I'm not being cold. Please stop making me feel like a shit person. This is cold. It really is. We had plans that you aren't caring about. I am. If you cared, we would be in Lexington right now. Okay. We probably won't get to Lexington until 7 p.m. How am I supposed to eat peacefully and then wander around Target in such a short amount of time? That's not true. I wanted to spend all day with you. That was the plan. I'm about to leave.
You've been saying that for hours.
I really am.
Please call me.
No.
Why not?
When I leave, I will.
You just said you were leaving? You always told me you'd be here for me no matter what. You're proving otherwise lately.
Stop, please.
I just want to get out of the house and have a good time, and it's like pulling your teeth out. Have you left yet? Are you getting my text? I feel really sick, and I am having an anxiety attack. I really need someone.
Yeah, I was waiting for your call, but didn't get one.
Calling.
No, you really didn't put up with much. Like, you did put up with some stuff, but you also were really quick to put your foot down, and she let you do it because she also had this adoration for you that I don't think she's had for anybody else.
Again, in this live, Destiny talks about how pushy Amberlynn was when they started talking.
Honestly, I wasn't being very honest to you either. Like, I wasn't that excited to meet her. I was just like, it was fun to have somebody to talk to, but she was really trying to push things so quick.
She does. Like when me and her first started talking, like, she immediately wanted to be like on FaceTime and like just phone calls all the time. And I mean, when we first started talking, I was still in a relationship, so I was like, I can't be doing all that. Like, I don't want to do all that. I didn't really know her. Like, we weren't talking like that yet.
Right.
And like, it slowly became that on my part. That was my bad. But and then it was like,
right, but she was probably still inserting herself a lot.
Oh yeah,
wasn't she?
Oh yeah. And then once I broke up with the girl I was with, it was like we constantly had to be on like FaceTime or whatever. Like, I didn't even have an iPhone when me and her got together. It was one of the Samsung phones, and she was like, you really need to get an iPhone. I was like, well, I can't just go get an iPhone or whatever. So to get her to shut up about it, I switched phones with my stepbrother. He had an iPhone 5. Me and him switched phones, so that way I didn't have to hear about it anymore.
Oh.
Because at that point, me and her had been FaceTiming on my iPod.
But it had to be FaceTime. Couldn't just call on the phone.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
It was dumb.
Oh my God. But like, literally, she would want to do that with me, and I just wasn't about that. So I would just be like, oh, I'm tired. I want to go to bed. And then I would still actually just sit up and like watch TV for a little bit longer. Like, I wasn't in the mood to talk to her. I wasn't feeling that way. We weren't dating, but she felt like because we were talking that she needed to talk to me all the freaking time when I wasn't working. And I just wasn't about that.
And Beck also asked Destiny in this live about the cat that she and Amber had named Gracie, who mysteriously got out when they moved in together, which then gets them on the topic of Rarity, who was Amberlynn's cat that she brought to Wisconsin to go visit Emily, who then mysteriously got out when she was still in Wisconsin with Emily.
I know. Dude, you have no idea how freaking sad I am over Rarity.
Dude, that's so messed up. Like,
she was such a good little baby.
You just gave up on her, though. Why would you just give up on her?
Well, obviously, for one, we know that she couldn't have ran after her, but still, she just she just went back to Oklahoma and just didn't care.
Literally, like, and I mean, I forget where it was that they were, but wasn't it like snowing?
I think so. But it was like far from where Amber lives.
I want to say it was like, it wasn't Idaho. Like Minnesota? Was it Minnesota?
Minnesota, Idaho, Arkansas, one of those.
I don't remember. But like, it had to be snowing up there.
Right. It's so terrifying and heartbreaking. And it's like she doesn't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah, she's just avoiding the whole thing. Yeah. And when something happened to Jax, I never heard the end of that. Like, anytime we hung out, she always had to mention something about Jax.
Yeah, couldn't let you live it down.
My mom loved having him. She got mice really bad where they were out there in the middle of nowhere. And he kept them away.
He was a good cat.
He was a very good cat.
Anyway, this first part with Beck and Destiny is like 2 hours long. And so again, we'd be here for days if I went over literally everything. So we're just going to leave that there. But Amber Lynn responds to part 1 in her next live, which apparently took place in the middle of the night. And she was crying a lot in it. She said that with Destiny exposing her messages, she felt really alone and she felt like everything was happening all at once. But she also tries to discredit the messages that Beck and Destiny talked about by saying they were from a long time ago, which like to me does not make any sense because like any receipts that Amber Lynn talks about to refute anything that Beck or Destiny talk about are also from a long time ago because they're from the same time period. But in this live, she also refers to Beck as, quote, one of the biggest manipulators she's ever met, and says that Destiny is just sharing her story and experiences, but Beck was really twisting them into something that they weren't. Which this is super interesting. This was super interesting to me because it's like a well-known fact at this point that Destiny, I think, will always be kind of Amber's one that got away. And Beck was like Amber Lynn's rebound after Destiny broke up with her. Amber Lynn saying that like Beck was twisting all of these and Destiny was just sharing her experiences, like really proves how much in Amber Lynn's mind, like Destiny can't do anything wrong still. So a few days later, Beck and Destiny go live again, and this time it is a Q&A and it is 3.5 hours long, mama, okay? So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I do want to go over a few key questions. They both talk about what made them stay with Amber so long.
The Rosie Maple Mothman, thank you so much. What made you both stay with her for so long? It's hard to see past videos knowing what we all know now. Love to you both. Destiny really didn't stay that long, but the reason I stayed so long was like, I knew that she didn't have anybody else, and that if I were to leave her, then she would have nobody. And she didn't even have her mom and stuff for a really long time. Like, she didn't have nobody. And I felt like I just needed to be there for her. And you probably sort of felt the same way because she didn't have anybody with you either, did she?
Yeah, I did definitely feel that way. But I just got to like the point I couldn't stay any longer. I couldn't like tough it out at all. Like, props to you for real.
It was hard. It was difficult. And I mean, I remember specific moments where when you were around and Amber would start doing something awful or rude, saying something to me, and you would stick up for me.
Oh yeah, because there's no reason to act like that, especially towards the person you are with, like your significant other, like especially in front of your friends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she was doing that to maybe try to show off.
Probably.
Maybe.
That's who she is as a person, so
yeah. But yeah, thank you. If I never said thank you for sticking up to me for her, thank you, Destiny.
Oh yeah.
You're a real one.
And Destiny also addresses Libby for the first time since any of this stuff came up.
Thank you. Can you talk about Libby? All I know, I really don't know much of anything, y'all. Destiny, what do you know?
I did reach out to Libby. She didn't have a whole lot to say. She said she doesn't remember feeling uncomfortable when she was hanging out with like Amberlyn and me and Nick or anybody. She did go back and try to watch some of like the compilations because I think Amberlyn took those videos down. And she said she can definitely like see how people would think that she was like uncomfortable or should have been uncomfortable. But she said she doesn't think she was, but she said that was like so long ago. She doesn't really remember a whole lot of it, you know, besides like big parts. And then she also said she really doesn't want to be a part of Gorlworld. So she said to just say that and then just leave her be.
And that's a good way to look at it and a great way to respect her wishes.
They also address like ableism allegations regarding like the wiping and stuff like that.
Parker, do you guys feel like you are being ableist about the towel situation? She couldn't do it herself. No. So it is not ableism to make fun of her for that. I mean, I wasn't making fun of her, and I definitely the only reason I mentioned it was because, you know, she wouldn't stop saying things about me. So I was like, I'm going to bring this up and say this because this did happen. And I mean, it wasn't really a towel that was washcloth.
Yeah.
And she couldn't do it herself, but she also wasn't asking for help or looking for a different way to do it. And it also ruined people's property in the same breath.
Yeah,
So,
there was like consequences that went with her doing that. I also want to know, like, how did she think to do that? Like, what made her think, like, I should just set this on this corner and just, you know, prop it up there. Like, how did that even get you, like, clean? And, like,
I feel like it
would hurt.
But I also feel like she was maybe too afraid to admit to anybody that she couldn't do that anymore. So maybe that's what started that, you know?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
I don't know, but she was always very, like, people were being like, we don't think you can wipe. And she'd be like, yes, I can. Yes, I can. But it's like,
I mean, maybe she was just proving a point.
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
I wouldn't put it past her.
I'm definitely not putting it down on anybody who can't wipe themselves. I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's definitely interesting the way she went about it and did not ask for any help.
They also sell stuff to help with stuff like that. Like
they do.
It's readily available. So, I mean,
right, and it's not like she didn't have the money.
Exactly.
She could afford that if she can afford to buy washcloths all the time, or.
And there was a lot more covered in this Q&A that I'm not going to talk about here, but the main one that I want to highlight here, because it really sent Amber into a tailspin, which we'll talk about, is they are answering questions from another reaction channel called The Ankle. And in this video, The Ankle asks Beck if they ever heard verbatim that Amber Lynn did have cancer when she got diagnosed with uterine cancer.
I don't know. Beck, like, did you hear verbatim the doctor say you have cancer? I guess that's just the best way. Or I do enjoy how this person stated it. Do you feel like you weren't given the full truth? Did Beck, oh my.
With the whole cancer thing, all I know is that we did go to the ER. She did have a DNC. They were like, we found, you know, cancer cells. We're going to have to send you to a cancer specialist. They sent her to a cancer specialist. She had surgery to have stuff removed. And then after that, she didn't get treatment. She didn't go back to the doctor or anything like that. So honestly, I don't know 100% if she just had cancer cells or if she actually had cancer. When it comes down to it, I am not sure anymore. And that's what I got to say about that. I'm not sure anymore.
I don't know. I remember when everything was going on that she said that, like, they found cancerous cells, but she couldn't fit in the PET scan so that they could see cancer. And she said, I have to lose weight to do that. And she obviously still hasn't done that. So.
Right. Yeah. She was supposed to get the PET scan, couldn't get the PET scan because she couldn't fit. Yeah. I don't think there was ever a update from that. I don't think so.
Nope. And I'm not super familiar with The Ankle, but I do believe that he is one of the reaction channels that is of the belief that Amber Lynn lied about having cancer. But I wanted to end on this question that they answered, because too long after the live ended, Beck pinned a comment on this video for clarification saying, hey guys, so after getting off live, I just want to say, while I do like The Ankle, I didn't watch his Q&A beforehand to figure out what kind of questions he asked. I know some people will think they weren't all in the best taste. I do want to say, though, that I was not trying to imply at all that Amber Lynn did not have cancer. I was just trying to say I can't confirm for you myself the details of what happened. I don't remember all the details, but but it was live and I was nervous and I definitely didn't word it the best I could. Please don't take any of that to mean that I didn't believe her or that she didn't go to the doctor or have her hysterectomy. It was a scary situation regardless of the details. I needed to clarify that for everyone. Thank you for watching. That live was really big and intense and we weren't expecting all of that. I think they had like 10,000 viewers or something. Like it was insane. But Beck made that clarification very quickly, like I said. But after this live and after Beck made the clarification, so she must just have not seen it, Amber Lynn crashed the fuck out on a live she spontaneously started and she went live for like 5 minutes and 29 seconds, okay? And this live was later deleted, like even before she privated all of her content after she got demonetized. But Amber Lynn is freaking out in this live because she, purposefully or not, misunderstood Beck and thought Beck was actually accusing her of lying about having cancer, okay? And to refute, she showed her medical records, which this is not the first time she's done this, to prove that she had cancer. And then she said, fuck you and goodbye, and ended the live. And to this, in the comments and stuff like that, for as long as it was up, like people were like, that's not at all what said, but like pop off. And that's how March ended. So on to April. So in April, the theme of Amber Lynn's exes all coming out and talking shit about her did not let up. And Amber Lynn accused Erica's wife. Remember Erica from my first video that I did like this, who Amber Lynn was allegedly like a side piece for? Amber Lynn accuses Erica's wife of like shading her because she wore the same sweater as her in an Instagram story.
And you know what else is dumb? When your ex's wife is so insanely obsessed with you that they buy the same sweater as you and they constantly post about you on their Instagram. Like, bro, your wife cheated on you with me. Like, do you know how many times they couldn't wait for you to leave so they could call me? Like, you have a gross wife. You have a cheater of a wife who lied to us both, but you're mad at me? Your wife and you tried to troll me, but your wife fell in love. Like, that's pitiful. That's pathetic. You stay bothered and you stay obsessed, and it's getting a little cringe and a little out of hand.
But then Erica got wind of this and started posting on underneath like other reaction channels in the comment section. And she said, I think I'll say what I need to say. By the way, did you let Rarity loose because you claimed she scratched your leg and gave you cellulitis, yet you refused doctor's orders or the skin cream? Are you not calling Steven your stepdad anymore because he keeps making inappropriate comments to you at bingo, touching your leg and saying creepy things as you claimed? Or is he still staring down your shirt in front of your mother at bingo? Oh, how's Twinkie? Are you still demanding her to give you her paw before you feed her? Is she still pissing in your bathroom? How is your mom? Have you two had any fights because she won't choose you over the man she plans to marry? Are you still yelling at her in the car rides she gives you? I'm hoping she gave you a ride to the dentist. I know that cracked half tooth is painful considering the fact that you thought you didn't need a regular cleaning. Nor floss, since just brushing should do all that you claimed. All of this over a sweatshirt of now multiple pictures of other people are wearing. You won't ever change. No one can ever love you simply because you dig your claws into every fiber and breath of the person you've chosen to manipulate. Amber Lynn then addressed these comments that Erica left in another live stream, just denying the claims about Steven, her stepdad. But she tries to refute a lot of the other claims that Erica made in these comments. She ends it all by saying, in the end, she may never change, meaning Amber Lynn may never change, but Erica will always be a disgusting cheater. As if Amber Lynn was not the woman that she cheated on her wife with. Anyway, I never really trusted Erica and her wife to begin with, like even when all of the stuff with them was happening. And I even hesitate to call Erica like a full ex, okay? But that's what Amber Lynn refers to her as. But since the theme of 2025 was all of Amber Lynn's exes coming out, I figured I should just include this here anyway. So then in April, towards the end of April, Mr. Snowflake put out his 4th installment of the Victims of an Empath series, and this episode was on Beck. And this episode was very highly anticipated, and it goes into Beck's history before they met Amber Lynn, and then it chronicles their pretty much the entirety of their relationship with Amber Lynn. This thing was 4 hours long, over 4 hours long, and so I'm not going to go too in depth here, but it was really well done, and I think it gave a really good look into Beck's experiences dating Amber Lynn. I think after Beck had kind of been opening up more and more on their own before this came out, I think this kind of like wrapped everything up into a nice little bow. Needless to say, when Amber Lynn went live after this documentary dropped, which was like the same day, I think it was like even just hours after Mr. Snowflake posted, people were flooding her chat asking her questions about it. And when people were asking her questions about it, as per usual, she pretended like she didn't know what they were talking about, like a 12-year-old. And then she went on to say that she would not watch anything involving Beck because anyone that was making this type of video is biased towards Beck and doesn't like Amber, so she wasn't going to watch it. Then after this, she starts going on and on and on about how she thinks her and Destiny should do a podcast together. Then, get this, she goes on to make her audience play what? Choosy. Yeah. What I could tell, like after going back and looking, it seems like that's really all she did in terms of addressing the Mr. Snowflake video on her channel. But throughout the rest of the year, like she continues to shade Beck and just talk shit about Beck. And to the point where if I went over every instance of that, like we'd be here so much longer than we're already going to be. And so I just want to say, like, here, make a blanket statement that even if I don't mention that she shades Beck in a live stream, she probably did, okay? Because she cannot keep Beck's name out of her fucking mouth. April is also the month that she got the cellulitis that I talked about way in the beginning of this video. She made a very big deal about this cellulitis, and when cellulitis is something that she's had a lot, and I saw people pointing out in the comments surrounding the cellulitis and stuff that like a lot of people were predicting that she would come out with some kind of medical thing or like health scare to try and distract from the Mr. Snowflake Beck video. And so I just wanted to say that she talked a lot about having cellulitis around this time as well. In May, we get our first inkling that demonetization might be on the way, okay? Because Amber Lynn uploaded a video and it was taken down by YouTube for violating community guidelines. And the title of this video that got removed was, quote, "The Scary and Alarming Truth." And a lot of people think the name was the reason it got taken down, because it wound up being just like a normal daily vlog, and like clickbaiting your audience to that level is like very much against YouTube's TOS. And she'd been doing that kind of stuff forever and hadn't gotten in trouble yet. And so I think we all kind of saw this as like her maybe finally kind of getting what's been coming to her. But other people speculated that this got taken down also because she was eating in it, and like other food videos of hers have gotten taken down. Anyway, I just wanted to put that happened here because this was like the first instance in 2025, I think, of a video of hers getting taken down for violating TOS. We also posted a video where she mentions Rarity, okay? And she put like Rarity update in the name of the video. So what happened to Rarity? Just a quick overview. I have a video where I talk about this more in depth. But basically, Amber Lynn, when her and Tommy were publicly together on her channel, decided to take a joyride driven by Mama Lynn to Wisconsin, which is where Tommy is from. She decided to take all of her animals with her, okay, including her like senior cats. And I, as a cat owner, was insanely alarmed by this, and I will never agree with it, even if everything went swimmingly, okay? Rarity got out somehow, and that will get brought up later in this video. She got out somehow and was never found. And up until this point, she had been dodging questions about Emily or about Rarity left and right. So like the fact that she put Rarity update in this video was a big deal. And so a lot of people were coming to this video expecting a Rarity update. Anyway, literally all this is her talking about how Rarity's still posted on like missing cat forums and stuff like that in and around Wisconsin, and that her and Emily came to an agreement that Emily would continue looking for Rarity even though Amberlynn had gone back to Oklahoma. And she also said that like if she found out that some family had like found Rarity and was like living with them now, that she'd try and get her back. And that was the update. So that was it. We also kind of get confirmation that her and Tommy had probably been together more during or like around this time, because in some weird foreshadowing, okay, Amberlynn was found in the super chats of the Keemstar Lolcow universe, and he says that he has been trying to get Amberlynn on that show for a long time, and then calls out her girlfriend saying that he doesn't like her either because she dates Amberlynn. And it wasn't confirmed or whatever at this point, and it very much could have been like a new person, but a lot of people started speculating after this that her and Tommy were still together. And in following lives and stuff, she denied that she had a girlfriend and was consistently saying that she was single and blah, blah, blah. But also I just want to say that in her lives towards the end of May is when she started getting like increasingly more volatile with her live viewers. And she just started like blocking people and whatever, which like that's really been her MO in lives ever since she started going live, like even before 2025. This was along with like Amberlynn just fully pointing the camera like towards the ceiling and doing her lives that way. Like again, bare bones effort that people are paying $10 a month for some reason to partake in. May is also when she brought up the elevated D-dimer and the hypothyroidism that I mentioned in the honorable mentions in the beginning of this video. So, okay. Now we are in June, July, and August. June, July, and August all kind of blend together, so I'm just going to cover them all as one thing, all right? Because 3 huge things happen in June, July, and August. So going into June, she's still having issues, including her tooth, and this was also when the DoorDash driver stalker thing happened. But June is also when Tommy reactivated her previously deactivated Instagram. And she was seen to have followed Reaction Channel. Oh lordy, it's Jordy. And Jordy found this out and then looked at his follower list on live and then found out that she must have unfollowed him. And he estimated that must have been in like the last 10 minutes because prior to that, she was still following him. So with the unfollow taken into account, I would chalk this up to probably maybe like an accidental follow. I'll give her that one at that time. Right, because now knowing what we know in February 2026, but Tommy also posted on her Instagram stories a clip about being someone else's cautionary tale, and then she had text over it that said, "Some people come into your life to teach you lessons. Mine came in like a crash course in red flags, gaslighting, and public humiliation. Thanks for the diploma." And obviously people who still followed her from her Amberlynn Reid days when she reactivated her account clocked this as being about Amberlynn, but I don't think it was ever really confirmed. June and July were also were the months of Amberlynn like starting to constantly reschedule her lives that again people were paying $10 a month to go to see. And I think people also like clocked her at this time for like waiting to reschedule the live after the monthly charge had already hit people's accounts. But in July, she actually made an announcement regarding her memberships saying, "I will be going live on Sunday at 8:30 p.m., but I have a few announcements. After looking at how things are going, I've decided to change my weekly live streams from 2 hours to 1 hour." And in this post, she like tries to justify it and stuff, but like everybody knows that she just did this because she didn't feel like going live for 2 hours. Even knowing like the bare minimum about Amberlynn, like we can all say that that is why she chose to change her lives from 2 hours to 1 hour. And then it's also around this time that she mentions potentially getting a new cat in her lives. Which understandably started ringing alarms for like everybody because people are very familiar with like how bad of a pet parent she is. And in July's lives, we also get Amberlynn mentioning potentially getting a new job, which, like, yeah, right. In July and August was when we start learning more about the night that Rarity went missing, when Amberlynn was with Emily in Wisconsin. And the first major thing that happened in July was that Emily/Tommy started talking unintentionally publicly about what happened. And she did this by posting a screenshot of a comment that she left in response to someone claiming that they thought that Emily's dog, Rarity. And in response to that, Emily said, "Don't blame my dog. He doesn't deserve that. He's the sweetest old boy and a big baby. Blame the person who, quote, lost her the day I told her to go back to Oklahoma." And the boo-boo that Emily made here was when she took that screenshot of her replying to the comment, she didn't crop her profile picture out of the area that would let you know the profile that was like viewing the comment. So like it was pretty obvious that Emily had taken that screenshot, posted it to Reddit, and yeah, and people started to notice very quickly that this screenshot most likely came from Emily, and so then it was like swiftly deleted, and then she started to talk to Despectful Moments on Instagram trying to do damage control, and she messaged them saying, "The Reddit account wasn't mine, the screenshot was. I sent it to my friend and asked if I should delete it or not. They must have posted it, which I'm not thrilled about, to be honest." Despectful Moments replied, "Oh, damn it, sorry, do you want me to remove it?" Because I think Despectful Moments had posted about this on their account. And Emily says, "I don't think it would make any difference if you did or not. People are already assuming it's me, which I have no way of proving that because apparently they deleted their account, and I'm not going to dox my friend either. It's shitty either way." And Despectful Moments responded saying, "Yeah, unfortunately, that's just how things go in the Amberverse." After all this started to come out, people started trolling Amberlynn in the comments of like her community tab posts and videos and stuff like that, basically saying how they were all assuming that Rarity had passed away and that it was her fault. Amberlynn then took to her community tab and she said, "I just now checked social media for the day. I haven't been on it much lately, hence why I haven't been uploading. And I noticed lots of rumors being spread. Just so everyone knows, all of it is a lie, but everyone will believe what they want anyway. So this is the only time I'll ever speak on it. Putting my energy into a large group of people who only will ever see the bad in me is not something I want in my life anymore. I'm trying very hard to focus on my mental health and my sanity. That is why I'm saying bye to constantly engaging in hate and saying bye to people in my life that destroy any piece of sanity I do have. But if you're wanting drama and for me to speak on any rumors being spread about me, it isn't happening. I'm in protection mode in more ways than one. Protect your mental health at all costs, even if it makes you look like the bad guy when you aren't. Anyway, I'm going live for members only at 8:30 p.m. See you there." So Amberlynn did go live and she proceeded to, and she had like a full-on meltdown, okay, about the rumors, and she said that if you believed them that you were insane. Here, I just want to kind of cover why people were very quick to believe this rumor about Amberlynn, and I want to cut back to Beck and Destiny talking about the cat Gracie, okay? So when Gracie was let out, which Destiny and Amberlynn have both confirmed that it was ultimately the roommate that they had. It was like her fault that she got out. But some people like aren't so quick to believe that. It's also said that the place that Amberlynn and Destiny were living in at the time were at the max capacity for the amount of pets that they could have. But Amberlynn really wanted a new cat. And so then Gracie conveniently got out, and then Amberlynn got her new cat. People have been referencing this a lot when it comes to the Rarity situation too, and I think people didn't necessarily like know for sure like why she would have let Rarity out intentionally. Now that Emily is accusing her of letting her out intentionally because Emily wanted Amberlynn to leave Wisconsin, I think personally it's like not out of the realm of possibilities, and I can't believe I'm saying this, like breaks my. I have 4 cats, guys, and they're like they're my children. I don't really know if it's out of the realm of possibilities to say that Amberlynn maybe let Rarity out thinking that maybe she would be able to find her really quickly, but it was enough to get Emily to let her stay longer or come back, because we find out later that Emily had left and Amberlynn texted her about Rarity leaving. And so like to get Emily to come back so that they could keep talking, because Emily had left because they had a fight, but then they never found Rarity. I don't think that's like too out of the realm of possibilities. And I hate saying that. Like, I hate saying that, okay? It was also discovered around this time that Amberlynn had blocked the word Rarity from being able to be commented on her channel. People were asking her why in her live chats, and she said that, like, she was just grieving her cat, and, like, anytime she saw her name, it made her really sad and all of that. So, like, she just blocked it from being able to be commented to, like, protect her mental health and stuff. But, like, personally, I think it was just a way to like be able to dodge more questions about it because she didn't want to talk about it. After all of this happened, and all of this stuff initially started coming out from Tommy about Rarity, in another live stream, Berlin introduces her new cat named Romeo.
I'll be right back. Okay. I have a kitten. Oh. Okay. His name is Romeo. I had to go find him. He was playing with Wasabi. And I'm going to start crying. There are a multitude of reasons why I like to have boundaries and keep things to myself. I feel like I have come to terms with like the fact that I lost Rarity. I've come to terms that like I might never get her back. But there is always that chance that I will. I have look how precious. Like I have like hopes and you know that she'll be found, and like I mourned losing her. Like she was my everything, and you guys know that. Like I would do anyways, like
It kinda seemed like she was gonna say she'd do anything to get Rarity back. But remember when just 2 days ago she said this?
would you ever come back to Wisconsin? Why? You know, why would I? Nothing I say will ever matter. But I lost a part of me when I lost her. You wanna go play, baby? Okay, go play. And I told myself I was never gonna get another cat. Will you get another pet anytime soon? No, absolutely not. I'm still waiting for Rarity to come home. Oh, he's still just sitting on me. Then my stepbrother had kittens and my mom was gonna take one. And they were like, Amberlynn, like, we see how much you miss Rarity. This could like bring that like fun because Rarity and Wasabi are two completely different type of cats. Wasabi is like low key. Rarity was in everything, like loud, like, and it was just more quiet. And Romeo has brought like people always like said like when you lose a pet, people always get a new pet to like help. And like I never understood. But now I get it. Wasabi's happy and plays with Romeo and they cuddle and it's just so fun to see them like play together and like. Do you think Wasabi is lonely? No, he's really happy. He's a happy little kitty for sure. It's like brought out something in Wasabi, brought out something in Twinkie, brought out something in me. And Rarity's name was Rarity Gray, as you guys know. So I named him Romeo Ray. So Rarity's like memory would always.
And these clips that I just showed were all edited by Apathetic Facts, and they were from Apathetic Facts video covering this live stream. And I just kept them as is because I think they do a really good job at like splicing things together and in a way that kind of showcases how I think a lot of people were feeling and a lot of things that people were questioning about Amberlynn and Rarity and this new cat and all of that. So I just kept it in here. But guys, my battery died, and so I imported the footage that I just finished filming. And we are at like 2.5 hours of footage, and we are like we are basically like halfway done with this video. And so I'm going to split this up into 2 parts. So stay tuned because we still have, and it'll come like very soon after this one, so don't worry about that. In the next part, we have all of the drama with Emily talking to Mr. Snowflake, and then Amberlynn's reactions to all of that, and then we get more sides of the story regarding Rarity and all of that, and then we also have Aunt Tammy. Okay, so yeah, buckle up. Part 2 will be coming soon. Leave a cat emoji down below if you made it this far. And yeah, so remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, drink your water, take your meds if you need them, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Okay, bye.